Hello, everybody. Welcome. Oh, wait, hold on. Welcome. This is a very special bonus episode that nobody asked for, but you're getting of the Tim Burton movie marathon here on Teacup for One. And tonight we're here on a Wednesday evening. It's kind of taking us back to our roots. This used to be a Wednesday night show. For a while, it was a Tuesday. Then it became Thursday. Going forward, who knows what day it'll be? But today it's Wednesday, so hooray! You know who knows it's Wednesday? My cat Eliza, meow. Meow with you. Today is Wednesday. It's true. Your show is supposed to be on Thursday. Now I have to change my schedule for the evening. Eliza, you don't need to groom yourself every night. You're beautiful just as you are. You're a lovely kitty. Yoda for Mark is here saying, pop it in to say, Matt, I could have what? Made it Thursday? Maybe. But what? We're here now. Happy to be here. Popping in to let Matt know. Oh, here we go. I could have. Wait, what? I could have bought a Crystal Yoda for $195. No. Oh, yeah, it's true. I did accidentally spend $195 on Funko Pops, and I'm still feeling the shame of it, and also feeling the hunger because that was my food budget for this month. So onwards and upwards, as it were. Who else is here? Martha's here. Woo! Mary's here. It is a jolly holiday with Mary. Oh, so I'm also reading the private chat here. And Alex, I can confirm you can speak as much as you want. No one can hear you right now. So now you know. But now they can hear you because look, everybody, it's Alex T-Tie.
Hello.
Hello. I know you weren't expecting to be brought in first, were you?
Yeah, that's never happened before, I don't think. Except for the one time when it was just the two of us.
Oh, right. The midnight show.
Yeah,
the midnight show. Yeah. Wow. When there's no context, it sounds really weird when I'm just like, just the two of us for the
that one night when it was just the two of us.
Yeah. Oh, I have a proposal to you. We need to do another midnight show for Christmas. Jeanette and I already cast you in it.
For the 25th or 4th or whenever Christmas is.
Not actual Christmas, but for the season.
I mean, most of December I'll be in like Southeast Asia.
Oh, I'm aware. We can make it happen like before.
Yeah. I mean, in principle.
Well, actually, probably not after, but like, yeah. Or we could pre-record.
I'll have a computer too.
Yeah. We'll discuss. It'll be a really fun show. I already know what we're gonna do. It's gonna be It's gonna be hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, welcome. So yeah, Alex, tell the nice people how you're doing. Oh wait, no. Sorry, we saved that for the end. Tell everyone what your favorite fish is.
Fish, like to eat or to look at or to
I've asked the question.
All right.
I need you to answer it.
My favorite fish to eat is salmon, just because it's so like versatile in my experience. You know, you can have it in a can, you can have it, like in salads, you can have it as like a fillet, you can have it like, the whole thing, just put it in your mouth. You could, yeah. And then fish to look at is like probably the angler fish, like the deep water fish with the light bulb to attract the little fishies, and then the big teeth that eats them.
Yeah.
And then to be, probably, that's tough because most of my favorite like fish aren't fish; they're mammals, like whales.
Oh, like whales and dolphins. Then they're not fish and they don't count.
Yeah, I guess I have to be like a shark if a shark qualifies.
Shark qualifies?
Be like a great white, just apex predator. Don't have to worry about stuff. Just open mouth wide and
older than trees. Fun fact. Yeah. My favorite thing about anglerfish is that when they're mating, the males just melt onto the female's body. And that
what happens to them afterwards? Do they
die? They turn into nothing. Like they bite onto them, and then their body melts away, and they're just there as like now an appendage on the female, like just on her arm, so that she can mate with herself whenever she wants to. The anglerfish is a feat of nature. Lisa, did you not know that? Anglerfish are fascinating.
That's very fascinating.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love the anglerfish. And they also terrify me. But welcome, Lisa. Woo! So yes, Lisa. Oh, thank you for joining us. Oh, I forgot to tell the audience. Tonight we're talking about two movies, Big Fish and Big Eyes. because we decided to just cram two of the movies that actually I have the most to say about in one night. So we'll see how we're able to condense all of it. But yes, Lisa, favorite type of eye, please.
Favorite type of eye?
Or you could do favorite type of fish. That probably.
No, do the eye. Do the eye.
No,
Yeah,
do
no,
the
do the eye.
I'll
Yeah,
do
favorite
the
eye.
I mean, I would say I really like my eyes because like they seem to like change color with what I'm
They're very
wearing.
nice. Mhm.
Very cool. I do think like they're just hazel, which is fine. But I don't like them that much because I have such a high prescription and I wear contacts and glasses. So aside from my own eyes, I would say I kind of love like reptilian eyes. But they don't really have eyelids. Like a lot of them have to like lick their eyes with their tongues, and I think that's really cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, so there you go.
We're learning so much today about the oddities of nature.
Yeah.
I adore that. Adore that. What's your favorite type of like makeup look for an eye?
Oh, winged eye, which like I always try to wear for these shows. I just like love it, and like you don't even have to have like any eyeshadow on it. But cat eyes are cool like this. I've always wanted to try like I don't know what they're called, but I like saw it on TikTok the other day. But they're like cat eyes, but like they're just downturned. I think they're called like doe eyes, like kind of like deer looking eyes. Want to try that one day. We'll see if that looks good on me.
Oh, I'm sure it will. I really like winged eyes. Is that what they're called? The thing that we have right now? Yeah. Like I know little to nothing about like I know nothing about makeup, but I think just the subtlety of it is so effective. Like so
yeah,
good.
and like Cleopatra eyes with like this kind of style with like the lined underneath is cool too. There's so much you can do with like eye makeup. You can get lost in a rabbit hole on YouTube just watching eye makeup tutorials. Yeah.
I don't know how, but I want to incorporate eye makeup tutorials into a future live show. Someone should just direct me into how to do my own eye makeup for the first time since studying clown, which was where I know that's when I had to learn how to put on eyeliner, and it was so painful that I was like, I'm never doing. I know like one of the girls said, yeah, you have to like pull down your eye, and I was like, I'm drawing on the slimy part of my eye that doesn't see the light of day.
You don't need to do that.
Now I know.
We will arrange something, Matt. You and I, and I'll show you all the things that you don't have to do to put eye makeup on yourself, and it'll still look phenomenal.
Can't wait. Deal. Done. All right, let's bring in our last guest for tonight. It's Jeanette, everybody. Woo!
All right, favorite fish eye.
Oh, no, I think let's favorite parasite. That's what Sassy wants to know.
Parasite?
What does that have to? What?
I don't know, but
I'm not sure.
We have to give the people what they want.
A favorite parasite? Goodness gracious, I don't know. Are maggots a parasite?
Are they? No, maggots are just larvae.
Maggots, parasites. Depends on the definition of parasites.
This is very strange.
They're like somewhat, they can be symbiotic to an extent.
Favorite thing that's big.
Favorite thing that's big?
Yeah, because we've done favorite fish, favorite eyes. Just
Disney World's castle compared to Disneyland's castle.
Oh, 100%. I still haven't seen Disneyland's castle, and part of
I haven't either, and I
haven't gone. Like I know how disappointed I'll be with it. That's
controversial.
Oh, that's like.
Oh, I know.
That's Lisa, this is like one of the most divisive topics in the Disney community, which is a community full of very divisive topics. But
yeah, clearly,
yeah. So that's my answer. Favorite big thing.
Ooh.
And I will say that I kind of like the Disneyland castle better. I just like the OG-ness of it.
We're not all size queens. It's okay.
Wait a minute. Didn't you say that the world
size does not matter?
Another topic for another day. Okay. Speaking of size, let's talk about Tim Burton's two biggest movies. Literally, because they both have big in the title. There's little to nothing to link them aside from the fact that they both have big in the name, and that's why we programmed them both for tonight. But at the same time, there are a lot of similarities between them because they're very not typical Burton movies in so many ways, because both of them forced Burton to kind of explore reality and forced his hand in a way that isn't normally forced, since maybe Ed Wood, potentially. Another thing is that both movies saw him using lead actors, and in the case of Big Eyes, entire casts composed of people that he hadn't worked with before, which I thought was an interesting departure. Yeah, so actually, never mind. There are a lot of similarities between these two movies. But let's tackle them one at a time, and let's start with the one that I personally have less to say about and like slightly less, even though I love both of these movies. So let's start with Big Eyes. Yes, and again, I adore both of these movies. I think these are two of my favorite Burton movies in some ways. But yeah, so since Big Eyes is a little bit newer, I'm sure there's not like a nostalgic factor for it. So let's just do a go around of first impressions, whether this was your first time seeing the movie, or if not, just first impressions on this rewatch. We'll start with Jeanette.
Okay, so for Big Eyes, yes, it was my first time seeing it. I wanted to see it. I like Christoph Waltz. I love Amy Adams. I don't know why I hadn't really sat down and seen it, but I loved it. I loved everything about it. I thought the score was good. Obviously, I like both of them. I really don't think that either of them has ever been handed a role that they don't just kill. So yeah, and I did like seeing something come out of Burton that I could tell was his to some degree. But like, he was working with people I'd never seen him work with before, and was kind of having to structure it around a true story, which, like you said, with Ed Wood, was the only other time we've seen him have to really grapple with that, I feel. So, yeah.
Well said. Hold on. Before we go around, Vincent just said something that triggered me, that we'll get to it later, about how Big Fish is the poor man's. I'm assuming he's saying Forrest Gump, and I hate Forrest Gump.
You
I hate Forrest Gump so much.
I was going to say that. He just took the words out of my mouth.
How dare
Not the poor man's, but it's definitely like
we'll get there. We'll
get there.
Yeah, sorry.
Forrest Gump.
Good job, Vincent.
Okay, yeah, I know, but Big Eyes. Lisa, Big Eyes, first impressions.
So this is the first time I watched it, and I am shocked as to why I had never heard of it before last week, and why I've never seen it. I enjoyed every moment of it. And now I feel like it's because I'm comparing it to my Big Fish viewing, and we'll get into it. But I did not like Big Fish, even though I've seen it many times. We'll get into it. We will get into it.
Oh my goodness.
We'll get into
Oh my gosh,
it.
Big Fish is the Disney castle of Tim Burton movies.
We will get into it, folks. But Big Eyes, really loved it. I enjoyed it. I wanted to find things that I didn't like about it, and there are some things that we could talk about that I was like, but I just enjoyed the hero's journey of Margaret so much. And yeah, it was like, I feel like the movie was totally up my alley, very much in line with my tastes. And I'm so happy y'all told me to watch it, because yeah, I think it's one of my favorite movies now.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Nice. Alex, what do you think of Big Eyes?
So, yeah, I definitely had seen the film before. I didn't realize that before watching it this time. I was vague, I was like, I'm very familiar with this premise, but I can't remember if I've seen this or not. And so I'm suspecting maybe the first time I saw it was on an airplane, like an airplane movie or something like that. But yeah, otherwise I enjoy the movie. Yeah, I enjoy the movie. I love Christoph Waltz. I like Amy Adams. Yeah, I like the premise is entertaining. The whole movie is enjoyable, entertaining. I have nitpicks here and there, and overall, I would say my overall impression with Big Eyes is that I enjoy the movie, and it kind of, to counter the airplane viewing theory, I'm not sure how memorable it is. It does still, even now, feels like a movie that I'm likely to forget about in a few years. And next time I, we're introduced to it, I'm like, did I see this movie again? That's kind of how I'm feeling about it right now. So yeah.
Oh, Yoda watched the wrong movie. Yoda watched Big Guys. Yoda, come on. It's okay.
That's funny.
Watch this though. Watch this one.
Do we have somebody looking up, Googling Big Guys right now to find out what that is?
Yeah, look it up and then get back to me, Alex. That's your assignment for the next few minutes. Yeah, no, this movie I had seen before. I think I've seen it twice. I saw it in theaters a day or two after it came out because I believe it was a Christmas release. And I went with my mom on Boxing Day to see it as our Boxing Day movie. And I loved it in theaters. I remember enjoying it when I rewatched it, and I thoroughly enjoyed rewatching it again last night / the tail end that I finished up today. I do agree that in some ways I could see it being kind of a forgettable movie in some fashion. There were details I didn't remember. I just remembered that I liked watching it. But kind of like Ed Wood, it's a pretty standard biopic about an interesting person who did interesting things. And there it is. And I'm glad I learned more about Margaret Keane, and I love her artwork. I adore the stuff. Like, this movie really kind of put a name to a style I was familiar with, but didn't realize it was all attributed to one person. I just thought it was a weird niche genre that Hot Topic sold of like kids with big eyes. But I think overall the movie, it's a strong, solid effort from Tim Burton. And on this rewatch, I was almost tempted to not like things, but I couldn't bring myself to not like them. Like Christoph Waltz specifically, it really stood out to me that he was really going for it. I almost want to say he was overacting, but at the same time, as much as I wanted to dislike it, I couldn't. Somehow it just worked for me. I think
that is his authentic acting style. That's how I feel about him. And so like, he's one of those people that can kind of take it there, and it's okay, I feel, most of the time.
Yeah, no, he was just so ridiculous and so over the top, but it still worked. And I think it worked exceedingly well for that character. And I have the impression that his performance is nothing like what Walter Keane was like in real life. But I think I think it's like the Burton-esque reinterpretation of Walter Keane.
Yeah, I think once again, and I don't know what it is, and maybe it's because I noticed that too, because he's obviously supposed to be a drunk, and Ed Wood too was a drunk, and he kind of glazes over that to some degree. Like, he does give us more scenes in this movie than Ed Wood of him like being drunk and like obviously like showing the repercussions in his personality because of it, but I feel like he kind of glosses over that. I don't know if it's from some interaction with it in his life or what, but I feel like he does tend to kind of just skim over that, or skim over sometimes what the source of somebody's meanness is. If it's problematic like that. I don't know. Yeah,
that's interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, the guy was obviously a dangerous drunk.
Yeah, he definitely was.
I mean, chucking little matches at people isn't all that bad. Once the kerosene gets involved.
Alex, what are you talking about?
an act of domestic terrorism.
He was just flicking little matches.
Oh my god,
Alex!
Alex, that is literally so dangerous.
Yes.
Is it?
Everybody.
Combustible? Did I miss that?
It was the 70s. Everything was shag and
Also,
polyester, probably.
It was in a house, specifically in a studio with like flammable.
I admit, they showed the kerosene, and I admit that's when or turpentine or whatever that was, and
the way he's doing it, I think if you took out a textbook and looked up domestic violence, would probably show up somewhere.
It's joyful. He's like, whoo.
Alex, what the hell?
All right, sure.
It was wrong. It was bad behavior.
Okay. I'm not saying everybody should go out and chuck matches at people for their family and kids. Don't get me wrong.
You heard it here, people. Alex said go out and chuck matches.
Christoph Waltz's drunk, violent or domestically terroristic performance. I'm just saying, personally, it was a little bit of hoo-hoo in there, a little bit of joy. I think Christoph Waltz just brings that joy to whatever he does. I know. And I think
Well,
that's
Yes,
I do
would
feel like
agree.
I think that
I
was the
would
thing that I liked about his performance
yeah.
as this very toxic character was that he was simultaneously so charming while being so toxic.
Which
And
means
Yeah.
he
I
was really
fully
doing
like
what they were trying to sell.
I understood why Margaret was in that situation. And for sure, definitely when you're on the outside looking in, not to delve into all the nuances and the difficulty of what that type of situation is, but it was just so clear to me like he is a terrible person, but at the same time, were I in her shoes, I can see myself being charmed by him because he
Mhm.
was able to so perfectly balance being terrible while at the still same time making it seem like everything he was doing had some kind of end game benefit for her.
And yeah, exactly that. I also think that like in terms of his performance, Christoph Waltz's like it I believed his believability and realisticness at the beginning. And then as it progressed, it got so much more animated. And I think it completely worked, obviously, because he was not all there and
Losing the grip. Yeah.
on man. Yeah. But I just like it I he doesn't hate the character. Like you can sense that Christoph Waltz does not have any judgment on the character. I mean, he may be judging the character and we just don't know it. But sometimes when like an actor is like, yeah, this character is like a complete jerk, bad person, awful human being, you kind of can see that judgment in the performance, no matter how good of an actor they were. But it seemed like Christoph Waltz was like, yeah, he was a cool guy. Even though it is so bad, never do that.
Never do.
Like, disclaimer, don't do this to people.
Vince said it best. But yay, more viewers. Oh my god. Like I think like the moment when she outs him for being cynique or whatever, and then he has a little breakdown about how he wants to be an artist, but he can't. Like that was just the tiniest bit of truth and humanity for that character coming out. Just that, well, he had already won me over, but that won me over even more because I think that's the little bit of ground you need to make some sense of the character. I also thought it was interesting the choice for Christoph Waltz to keep his Austrian accent as opposed to like I'm pretty sure he's done American accents in other things like Carnage, based on God of Carnage. I think he was doing an American accent in that, but I read very quickly in my behind the scenes trivia that he asked Burton and then Burton said, no, keep the Austrian accent, which first off, I think, or I'm not sure how it would have affected the performance, but a dimension that it added that I liked is that it added another layer of not knowing what was true with him because of all his talk about having lived in Paris, but then having claimed he was born and raised in America, or I think he did because real life Walter Keane was born in Nebraska. Oh. But there were just so many different things about his characterization that to me had echoes of like the Joker almost in Dark Knight. In the Dark Knight, only because you don't know what's true and what's not true about anything he's doing.
That's so interesting because the entire time I thought Walter Keane was like German or Austrian. But I look, don't take this out of context, but his accent, yes, it's his real accent. It just screamed con man. Like it seemed like it was like a put on accent or like a faintly hidden. And I'm not saying Austrian accents con people. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that like the way that he interpreted the role with his accent, it was like the perfect chemistry for like a evil lying man that he was. It was great.
Yeah.
And how did we feel about Amy? Because I think part of the reason I could forgive his performance because Amy's subtlety balanced it really beautifully. But yeah, how did everyone feel about Amy Adams as Margaret Keane?
I'd start with what you just said. Like she does that well, right? She does like silent roles well, which is funny because then she's also able to do like comedy, like what's she call it, Talladega Nights. She does and which you still haven't seen, Matt. You still haven't seen Talladega Nights, but
She's not.
Wait a minute, is she Farrell's
she's
wife,
the
or-
assistant. The assistant chick in the bar that like gets on the table and is like yelling.
Oh,
Anyway.
okay. She's like a
It's
hot
an
chick or
early
whatever?
role. Yeah, like
Okay.
it was an early role, but at the same time, you're like, you can see, and then she does comedy later on too. But like, it's just I feel like she's able to do those quiet roles and not feel like I've described some other people like a wet blanket. She's still very much in the scene. She's still very present in the scene. And I also think she stayed away from sometimes women in that time period. When other women portray them, they almost go way too Valley of the Dolls, way too like Lithium Doll, like zoned out of touch, drunk, whatever. Like they go way too far down that road. And she didn't really, she just touched it here and there whenever they would show her drinking. But she didn't stay in that zone. So I felt like that was really nice.
Yeah. Amy Adams. Yeah, I don't know how much like, yeah, I think Amy Adams is a great actress in general, and I think she definitely like, you know, showed her acting chops in this role. I do think that there were parts of the movie where I kind of noted that she did seem a bit like the word melodramatic comes to mind, and I don't know like I don't know, like something in the way that she spoke, like there were some lines that she had where like I thought she was putting on this like this sort of, it's kind of difficult to describe, but there are certain scenes, certain just moments in the movie where it sounded to me like she was putting on a voice that didn't quite match her natural voice that she mostly used throughout the film. But there wasn't ever a moment where I looked at her and I said, I don't believe you. There wasn't ever a moment where like the you know, and melodrama is not even the right word probably, but you know, let's say that it was, you know, that's the word we're dealing with. Even in those melodramatic moments or elevated moments, heightened, more energized, whatever it is, it didn't like pull me out where I was like, oh, I don't believe you anymore. This is unrealistic. It was just more that what it did is it just kind of made me feel like it pulled me out of like, there were just moments that pulled me out that were like, what is Amy Adams doing right now? I'm not used to this maybe from her, or I'm not expecting it from her right now. And yeah, I wish I could be a bit more specific or clear because it's kind of like a nothing point. But anyway, yeah. But other than that, Amy Adams. Yeah, I thought Amy Adams does have that versatility. Like she can play the like, you know, cute like hot chick or whatever. She can play this like, you know, meager. That's the word that came to mind. But this character, Margaret, like she's definitely like taken advantage of, and you know, in that way, she is oftentimes made small in the film in terms of her power and her empowerment.
You know, this role, I just remembered. I was trying to think what this role reminded me most of in her career, and her role in what do you call it? Catch Me If You Can.
Oh yeah.
This
I
reminded
keep
me.
forgetting.
a
I
lot
keep forgetting
of-
she's
Was
in
she in
that.
Catch Me If You Can?
Yeah.
Was she the stewardess?
She's the girlfriend that like calls the cops on him at the end. when
Yeah,
she
with
says
all the money floating in the air.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie. That's another one I've seen a million bajillion
so
times.
good.
I don't know what it is about Amy Adams, but I always, before I go in to see a movie with Amy Adams, I want to go in not liking her, which is weird and bizarre.
That's how I feel too. Yes.
Like she is such a good
Really?
actor. I don't know why. Like I remember watching, like before watching Julie and Julia when it first came out. I'm like, I'm gonna hate her. She's not as good as Meryl Streep.
She's like the least hateable. What?
Yeah, that might be a part of it.
I have
And you
no
like
idea.
like Kirsten Dunst.
I only liked the
Me
movie
too.
that I saw.
Me too.
That you didn't like, Jeanette. I don't like Kirsten.
Oh,
Interview
I
with the
like
Vampire.
Kirsten
She's
Dunst.
great.
Yeah, that's the only good role she's ever had.
Jumanji.
Sorry,
Oh.
sorry.
But with Amy, I end up watching the movie and like never hating her. I'm like, oh yeah, I really do like Amy Adams. Why did I want to hate her? But yeah, no, I went into the movie being like, oh, Amy Adams, and then
Just as a side note, Lisa and I are very nice people.
Are we? Am I? I know you are. I don't know if I am.
Alex and I are not.
Yeah.
Like you're not sitting here like hatering on
Matches.
other women. That's what we're gonna call it now when we drop these little bombs about actors just throwing matches.
Yeah.
Throwing matches. Oh,
Resident match chucker here.
I love Amy Adams in this role. I mean, I will say like her accent for the character threw me off in bits and pieces, and I get that she was trying to connect to the voice of the woman, especially since she like met her in real life. But like it didn't take me out of it, and I think what she did really well was like make me as the audience member sympathize with her in like this, you know, manipulated character, but also like feel in like I was so frustrated. I was like, can't you see he is an awful person? Why are you falling for his trap? But at the same time, it was like, no, I totally get it. Like he's such a charmer. You also have a past of like leaving your first husband. Like I get it. But I think she balanced that out so well.
Mm-hmm.
So like her skill and her talent as an actor, I really need to take that into account before I see a next movie of hers.
That's exactly. I'm so glad you said that because I felt the same way, but thought it was just a me problem.
No,
But no, I like as soon as it started, same thing. Even though I remember having seen and liked the movie and remembered having liked her in the movie, like right off the bat, I thought I'm not going to like you, and then slowly it was me not minding her into me loving her. Like when she first started drawing, I had a total moment of you clearly don't know what you're doing, even though I'm not a visual artist. So who am I to say if she looked like she was actually painting or not? But when it got to the points when she was talking about like how connected she is to her art, that's just when she got me. When she was saying like, my soul is in these children. I was like, yes, it is. I love you.
And like,
Did anybody else when that
Sorry.
scene where she's driving and she's like, they're driving away from him and she goes, yeah, we're going to Hawaii. Don't worry, everything's going to be okay. Did anyone else think she was going to drive off of a bridge? Like the acting in that scene, that's what I read from it. I didn't know her story. I was like, oh my God, she's going to drive them both off of a bridge. Because it sounded like she was lying to her. Like, it's okay, we're going to go to Hawaii. Everything's going to be fine.
Oh no, but then they actually went to Hawaii.
But then they actually, it was the most triumphant moment in this whole movie for me because I literally thought she was going to commit, you know, a crime.
She was going to tell Louise, her daughter. Yeah.
That's an very interesting read you have
and
there.
I was like, and then they cut to the shot of Hawaii and I was like, oh my God, they didn't die.
Maybe that was just the cliff.
So dark.
I'm watching totally different movies than you guys, I guess.
I mean, whenever she turns around to look at her daughter, I think of like, oh, she might run into another car, but like,
oh, okay, no,
I
literally, I thought she was like, that's it. Yeah. I don't know what to do.
You thought she was going to kill herself and her daughter, like intentionally. That's an interesting read.
Yeah. So I was that scene when they went to Hawaii. I was like, oh, yes. I was so excited for the character at that point.
Except in Hawaii, she still wasn't able to escape her problems. She still had to deal with them.
Yeah. Until she found Jehovah's Witness. Which, like, what a turn of events. I think Margaret Keane as a person is so interesting. And I don't think who wrote it. Did Tim Burton write them?
No, I can't remember who wrote it. Let me check.
Well, whoever wrote it, I don't think they like got fully into Margaret Keane, like as like they kind of touched on it with like being interested in numerology and then like getting into Jehovah's Witness, but like she clearly had some type of like not like a possession.
A need to be a part of something.
Yeah, a need to be a
that
part
explained things.
Mm-hmm.
or like the curiosity. And I'm like,
well,
okay,
and that era is so like hip to that, right? Like that was that time period when people were like just toying around with the idea of things that just weren't what American life was to that point, right? Like the whole mod and like bebop culture and all of that. Like I feel like that's kind of part of that, right? Is tooling around with like spiritualism and new ideas.
Yeah, and I think the reason like whoever the writer is, I'm gonna guess it's a guy.
Yeah, it's two guys. It's actually the same people. It's the same team that wrote Ed Wood.
Interesting.
Alexander and Larry. I'm gonna butcher the last name. Karaszewski.
Interesting.
Better
yeah,
than
like there was like a very prominent male lens because the narrator, which is one of the things that I did not enjoy, was the reporter. And I was like, why is it coming from the reporter's lens? Like I get like he was like talking about like he was responsible for the story, but it just was like this shouldn't be coming from that type of voice. So I was always curious, like, what if it came from like the best friend's point of view or the daughter's?
Oh my God, I wanted more Kristen Ritter. I'd be so happy if we got it from her point of view.
Yeah.
But no, like I kind of liked the reporter angle because since it is, in my mind, equally about both of them, it's nice to have an outside perspective that's a little bit more objective as much as one can be, because I do enjoy being able to, like, I'm empathizing with Margaret's character, but I like that it's not totally from her perspective. I do think it's even between the like that was my big issue with Being the Ricardos, was that it was basically the Lucy movie, and I wanted it to be about both. Well, I want it to be a lot of things.
I was gonna say, I don't. What do we want to go down that?
No. But like one of my biggest qualms, I was like, if it's about a couple, make it about the couple, not about one side of the story.
Yeah.
And this to me felt like a well-balanced side of both stories, even though there was the good, better person. I felt like it was well-balanced. But what else was I going to say? I can't remember. Oh, and I also think, no, I do agree. I would have liked to have delved deeper into that side of Margaret Keane, but I also liked getting little hints of it as well, because I feel that to fully explore that, it would have to be a Margaret Keane
movie
life biopic. Yeah. That's not just about this element of her life, about her art being stolen. So,
no, and I think like that could be like a totally different movie, like what Big Eyes was, and like dealing with, you know, William, that's his name. Walter Walter's his name, like that. Totally perfect, great. But if there was another movie about Margaret Keane and like it went through her life, that would be cool.
Absolutely.
And I think there's room for that, right? Like there's always room to tell one instance in somebody's life and then to do a thing where you tell their whole life story, right?
100%.
Like, and I also feel so like I feel like this movie is a really good PSA for like maybe like an after school movie to explain pathological liars and the complete danger of them, like to an nth degree. I feel like people ask why I watch so many serial killer movies, and I'm like, well, I just always wanted to avoid, becoming a victim. And that was what I really felt when I was younger. I was like, I just really want to know how to like not fall into that. And so like, I'm like, oh, this is a really good movie to like learn red flags. This is because it just is like this progressive thing to the point, like you said, where she's in Hawaii and still can't escape the real problem and is still under the hold of it. So I feel like this is also on a, if you want to look at it outside of the actual story, it's a really good look into that world.
It's also a great PSA for plagiarism. I was just like, girl, this movie could all be over if you just said it was your Peyton in the bar when that Italian guy asked you who painting this is. But it's fine.
Eventually we all know now, which is also, I felt like the moment I was thinking this, the movie addressed it, I hit a point where I was like, do you want me to believe that the world believes a man was painting these kids?
Well, I love
like,
when
I don't
that guy
want to sound
says
sexist,
it. He goes, where do
guy
you get your
specifically, yeah.
inspiration? And he goes, what do you
What?
mean? And he's like, what makes you think of small children or some
Yes.
shit? Like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
I
Why?
was like,
Why the
finally,
little girl?
somebody's, I was like, did nobody think that was weird back then?
Well, he has a whole like scene about that, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
exactly. When they finally got to it, I was like, yeah.
But see, okay, so there's a part of me that's like, yes, exactly. You're so this is weird.
But
But
then
also
you're
like,
shaming people for their art. Yeah.
yeah, and like there should be like for Amy Adams to paint like, these big-eyed little children, like, and she's a grown woman. Like, why is that not weird, right? I know there's that societal standard of like, yes, all of that, but I don't know. There's like, I was like, yeah, that is weird. But also, I feel like we should allow this artistic expression because it's not taking advantage of children at all. Like, if he were to have painted these kids, like if it was his intellectual property, he wasn't doing anything weird.
Yeah.
He was lying, though.
Which isn't weird.
Through him.
Yeah.
Yeah, or I think, well, partially, I guess it's my sexist read to think, do you really think a guy would paint that? But also specifically him, like just that human that is Christoph Waltz's character, like someone who in his interactions with people has very little sympathy to him. And I feel like there's just so much empathy bleeding out of the eyes of those Funko Pop style children that I'm like, do you like really, world, do you believe that that's the human? But then the war story, I guess, made sense.
Yeah, but there was something so delicate in the paintings and the art that like you just didn't get, at least from Christoph Waltz's interpretation of the character. Like he was so like hard. He was like a businessman. He was a liar. He was a con artist. Like I couldn't match the art to the artist. And maybe that's because like they needed to make that interpretation clear. But even looking at the picture of Walter in real life, I'm like, yeah, I don't buy that this guy would make that art. There's just something so rough and like hard that you
it's
don't
like a cynicism.
Yeah. And it's just in like the way, like his face and like the way he like held himself in that, like, that picture in the movie?
Oh yeah.
At him, like sitting. He just looks so not vile. Yeah, he just looks so grumpy. And I'm like, there's something so beautiful about those paintings that doesn't come from that human.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe that's wrong of me for judging the artist.
No, but you're not judging. You're judging the fake artist. But I felt the biggest tragedy I felt was that if he wasn't a terrible person, he did have skills that could have made him and Margaret such a success, like a healthy success. Because so many of the things that he was doing were smart business choices.
Well,
like he was such a
good hustler. Like in a good way, you can hustle legal things. Like you can just
figuring out to sell the prints was brilliant.
Yeah,
it was like just $10. And if he had just channeled that positively, there are so many people that I feel go into, like Walt Disney, I think is a great example where he wasn't a great artist, but he was a great producer in that way, where he was able to tap into people who could do a specific artistic thing, then channel that and bring it to the world, and then provide his artistic input to like help that along.
It's his desperation, right? Like it's just that desperation for fame, because he already had money. He had enough money to support himself just fine. He was doing fine. It was a desperation for fame.
Oh, so gross.
It's so gross. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, what else I want to talk about with this movie? Was there a specific scene directorially from Burton that stood out to you that you specifically liked? Because even though it's a more conventional narrative as far as Burton movies go, I do feel like you can feel the Burton fingerprints on it in ways that I feel are quite effective. So like I have my personal favorite scene, but I want to hear everyone else's first.
I'll go. So I wanted more big eye people. Like I wanted her like tripping out all over town, I wanted more of that. So yeah, that felt Burton-y to me. And just kind of the scenes of anytime they would show her daughter kind of being alone or something, like something about that felt very, he conveys loneliness very well, I think. So Those were things that felt Burton-y in this movie to me.
I wouldn't say I still, after this whole movie marathon, I don't think I fully still understand what like a Burton-esque thing is. Like, I kind of get his aesthetic, but in terms of his directorialness, yeah, I still don't quite get it. But my favorite directorial choice in the movie is when Kristen Ritter comes into the house and like they are sitting on the couch after she walked into the studio and like he erupted and they're just silent, drinking their drinks, and then scene change and like he's pushing her out of the house and like she's like, shut up, you're an asshole, and like perfect. Like, I did not need to see that fight. I did not need to see that whole escalation. I just need to see their silence and then the denouement. That was perfect.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
Just more Kristen Ritter.
More Kristen Ritter. We need more Kristen Ritter in our lives.
Just in general, but she's such a good match, I think, for Tim Burton. Just as both like the energy she has, but also visually, she just looks like a Tim Burton drawing. So
yeah,
I'm surprised she didn't become his new muse after Helena. Instead, it became what's her face, the French lady.
The French lady, Marion
one,
Cotillard.
No, the French lady who was in Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children.
Oh, Ava Green.
Yeah, Ava Green.
Oh, I love her.
She's not French. She's British, right?
I think she's French. Isn't she French?
British.
Oh, well.
I love her.
The European lady.
Yes, I love
Ava
her.
Green. Ava.
From Penny.
Yes.
Did you ever watch Penny Dreadful? She's in that.
Cloverfield.
Penny Dreadful? No.
And I think she's a Bond girl in one of the Bond movies.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
Was she in Penny Dreadful or was she in Salem? Or was she in both?
She is French.
She is French?
Oh.
Hooray.
Hooray.
Oh, see, Mark knows. Mark knows. French by way of
French
Britain.
by way of Britain.
Yeah. Alex, what was your favorite scene directorially speaking in this film?
Oh, well, that's not what you originally asked.
What did I ask?
You asked, like, you said, like, speaking of, like, Burton-esque things, and what's, like, the Burton-y.
Oh, yeah.
The Burton-y.
Well, kind of either favorite scene
and direct, anyway.
directorially, or scene that to you felt the most Tim Burton-y, whatever that means.
Let me just talk the talk.
Okay.
So, the Burton-y, yeah, obviously the big eyes. So that it's interesting how, yeah, there seems to almost always be like Burton always has to like do a movie where like reality kind of breaks in some sense. Now maybe like, you know, like Ed Wood, did Ed Wood have that kind of a moment? I don't remember that it did, but Ed Wood, in my opinion, was very like the whole movie was this very what I call stylistic like movie, and so like nothing felt particularly grounded. Like everything was elevated and heightened, and the dialogue and the acting. So that's kind of that's how I justify Ed Wood as a Tim Burton movie. It's fantastical in that heightened, energized sense all around. But otherwise, yeah, the big eyes had to come out at some point, and they did. But and yeah, and that's a like I don't know how I feel, I guess, about the big eye moment. Like I think it's cool, but I also think it's almost easy. Like it's almost like, yeah. And I don't know. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing. Like easy things aren't inherently bad or less valuable. It's just kind of like in on the other side of the coin, you know, is cheap, you know, like a cheap trick or you know, something or low effort, you know, kind of technique or idea. So yeah, but anyway, I really liked the sort of the some of the beginning scenes, like the cinematic shots of like the hills and the green and the valleys, and like there were some really beautiful cinematic scenes and shots in this movie, especially at the beginning, but even throughout. I think cinematically it was the cinematography was visually pleasing. Not necessarily in every single scene. Obviously there were close-ups and all kinds of stuff that had a different purpose, but there were a lot of scenes that were aesthetically interesting and just pleasing to look at. And then, yeah, I really liked that Christoph Waltz in the middle, the two women on the side. I did kind of feel like that scene was out of place in the movie, like in this in a sense of like it, to me, that scene really made me feel like Christoph Waltz was being like, it felt like the door is locked. There are like, just off camera, there are, guns pointed or whatever. Like it felt like two women in danger, trapped with a like psychopath. That's what that like shot and scene kind of made me feel. And I felt like that for me, that stood distinct from the rest of the movie. Again, keeping in mind that to me, Christoph Waltz's like fire trick is, a totally different vibe. Like I concede it's still, yes, it's terrorizing, it's domestic abuse, all that stuff. But to me, it's a totally different energy. That to me is the most like terrifying, shot, is just him in the middle and these two girls sitting in silence. It's like, why are they silent? What are they afraid of? I've seen this character. He's not that scary. He's not a physically intimidating guy. He acts like a clown. What's going on here? And that makes me, and I like the scene because of the way it makes me feel. I think it's a cool, strong scene, but I also feel like it's the odd one out of all the other scenes.
That's so interesting, because like the way that I interpret it is like, not that they're in danger or like they could possibly be in danger, but like the juxtaposition of Amy Adams not drinking her drink and like being closed, and then Kristen Ritter being like, you can see in her face, like I love her face so much, of like, this is weird, like my best friend, what is wrong? And like him like in the middle, but like completely losing control because he knows he's lying. But like, I totally get the other read that you're having of like, yeah, like this is a problem. There is a potential danger, or even like just a potential blow up, which we assume happens because of the ending of that scene. But yeah. I just like, I think the reason why for me it's like so interesting is because like it is out of place. Like it doesn't fit the rest of the movie pacing or just the overall vibe, but like it's kind of like the pivotal point almost for me. Yeah.
No, I feel like it was also effective, even though I didn't have the same reading as Alex, but I agree with it, especially because I think right before that, if I'm remembering correctly, is when Kristen Ritter finds the studio and then he has his blow up. He's like, no one gets to see my studio. And I think that's the first time we see something edging towards a violent anger from him. Yeah. And I think like, just that coupled with having that shot following it, that's when like it just adds a whole new layer of tension for me.
And like complete delusion, because like Amy Adams, you can see like she's like trying to figure out like, oh my God, how am I going to explain to my friend what is going on here? Like she knows this is my studio, but like these are his paintings. Like you can see the wheels turning, and he just comes in lying. Mm-hmm. He's like, I told you, and he like he grabs the painting materials, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy is insane. Mm-hmm. But it's so brilliant,
and it feels so dirty watching him paint on her canvas.
Top, I know.
And he's just like adding brush strokes to, even though it's like the most basic part of the painting, I'm still like, no, you're messing it up. But yeah. Wow, that shot has so much power. Anyway, my turn. Favorite scene. My favorite scene is the big eye scene, but not because of the big eyes. The big eyes are actually my least favorite part of that scene. And in fact, looking at it now, even though like it makes sense and I get why it's there and it's a cool, kooky thing to have there and it makes sense, whatever. It also kind of looks like a Snapchat filter to me now, watching it as a 2022 viewer. I was just seeing Snapchat energy.
That's kind of true.
Reading into it, this is just something I didn't pick up on before that to me is very Burton-y, whatever that may mean. But I think he has such a good grasp of using visuals to convey story. Like I know visual storytelling is one thing, but when I say using visuals, I mean specific things within the frame, because the way that she's walking through the supermarket before you actually see the display, it's just drawing attention to how mass produced all of the labels are on all of the products that are on all of the shelves. Like it even starts with her picking up the Campbell's soup, which just connection to Warhol, making that whole piece. That was that point exactly. Like, look at all the mass produced beauty that we have here. And then just as she's moving through the aisles, you just see everything aligned and so perfectly matched. And then connecting that that's what her art has become, to me, was such a powerful moment. And the very subtle buildup to it, and just placing her in an environment that seems naturalistic, but still has a manufactured kind of off-kilter edge, was very effective to my viewing eye. I also very much appreciate when Burton can use some kind of practical effect. And so I love when they're in their big expensive house and it's nighttime, and just the pool light, the pool water, justifying why they have that cool blue light, which to me added a whole dimension of visual tension I thought was super cool. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Burton. Go Burton. All right, let's talk about Big Fish.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my gosh. I'll go last.
Oh, wait a minute. I wanted to make I mean, it doesn't really matter, but
Say what you're going to say.
Yeah, I wanted to say that. So I wonder if, so does anybody else notice this or agree? The shot. Yeah. So when Big Eyes, so it has like its opening shots or whatever. It has some, I forget the visuals, but then the first shot with dialogue where the journalist starts narrating, there's that neighborhood shot, which I swear is almost identical to the shot in Big Fish.
And also the shot in Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but I just watched Big Fish the previous night.
Yeah, it looks like a standard set that.
I mean, yeah, you could probably expand that to some other films as well.
And that's probably pretty. That's probably a pretty easy thing to look up too.
Yeah. I don't know. I was excited when I saw it. I was like, oh my God, he used the same thing. And oh my God.
I will say he did a double costume repeat on 2 different characters. And that's not his fault. That's the costume designer's fault. But the daughter in Hawaii, when she's telling her mom, like, oh, maybe you should get some friends, like, is wearing this like purple bikini top. And then in a few scenes later, when Christoph Waltz is having, like, I don't know, his girlfriends over the house, one of the girls that's sitting on the couch with him is wearing the exact same bikini top.
You are throwing shade at Colleen Atwood?
Is that Colleen Atwood? Colleen Atwood,
all of these have been Colleen Atwood.
The resident costume designer?
Listen, continuity is important to me. Get with the program, Atwood.
So imagine if that purple bikini top was secretly like an Easter egg in every Colleen Atwood movie. Like, she doesn't even tell the directors. Like, it's somewhere Into the Woods. It's in, oh wait, no, she didn't do Cruella.
It's like a headscarf in Into the Woods. It becomes like, yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, I just noticed that, and I was like, that is
strapped around Milky White. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay, Big Fish. Again, I'll go last. Alex, you go first. Opening thoughts, opening statement on Big Fish.
Yeah, I'd never seen this movie before. I've seen the trailer for it, like, as part of like old school DVD previews on your DVDs, and I think it must be part of a preview for like a movie that I really like to watch, because I remember clearly like the trailer, the preview, like having watched it multiple times. So it must be before, I don't know what. But yeah, I'd never seen the movie. And yeah, so having seen the movie, I like it. Yeah, I love Ewan McGregor. I like a lot of actors in this movie. I like this movie.
I'm not convinced that you like this movie.
I like it. What anything here that's helped me make something like an interesting point. Um,
You don't have to make an
No.
interesting point. That's enough for now.
yeah. No, I like the
Just
movie.
blank
Yeah,
it.
I think I want to rewatch the movie. Like, I think I want to like just kind of have a couple of more watches of it and just get really familiar with it. Yeah.
That's it. Lisa.
I dislike this movie so much. This was my second time watching it. I watched it in high school, and I remember in high school really like loving it, but I don't remember why like teenage Lisa liked it. And I think it was the case of all my friends liked it, so I had to like it. I think that's what happened. I also like going into this viewing, I thought I was going to watch The Lobster, not Big Fish. There's a movie called The Lobster.
I know where they turn into lobsters if they don't find love or something, or they get to pick an
Yes.
animal. Yeah.
What?
I don't know why I
madness.
I don't know why I confused it. I mean, Ewan McGregor is also in The Lobster.
Oh, that makes sense. And
So-
aquatic creatures, yeah.
Yeah, so I think I was like confusing it. But fair. So whatever. I started watching the movie and immediately I was watching it with Vince, and yeah, we just kept being like, wow, this is the poor man's version of Forrest Gump.
How
And I
dare
love
you?
And I just
I don't think. How dare you? I wouldn't call it the poor man's version. I would just. It's the Burton version.
No, it's the poor man's version. The pacing was so messed up for me. I was ready to be like, I'm ready for this like life story, and it's all going to be about life and death. And I was just left so disappointed. And I don't know, I was in the right mood for this movie to hit my heart. Like, my 2 hamsters just passed away. I was ready to cry. And I just sat there like, so sad. What? No, it's okay. It's okay. They're okay.
Drop that on us like that. Oh my god.
Rest in peace, Umbrella Waffles.
Umbrella and waffles. No, but that's the thing. I think like I went into it having higher expectations, and just like from where I was coming from, like after experiencing loss, I was like, I'm ready to cry. And there was no tears. No tears. I was so disappointed, and I think it was just because of high expectations. So sorry, that was my first impression.
This movie makes me cry every time.
Oh my god, this movie made me ugly cry so hard. I was dehydrated. And I was so glad I didn't end up watching it with Alex, because that would have been really embarrassing.
No. You guys could have been emotional support.
No.
Absolutely not.
So,
I probably would have just been there sobbing, and he'd be like, I like this movie.
So yeah, I went and saw this movie. I got a free pass to like a preview, like a pre-opening. You know, they used to give out those like cardboard passes at like movie rental places, and like you get to go see it before it really came out. So I did that. I went and saw it when it really came out, and then I owned it on DVD when it came out. And yeah, I don't know. I think this is like one of Burton's greatest achievements. I think that it's one of Elfman's most different scores. Like it's not completely Elfman-y, which I love. That's like my favorite sound. So I'm fine with anything being Elfman-y. But yeah, like it doesn't sound like him, but it makes sense. Yeah, I would watch this movie anytime. And like on this rewatch, it was like used to, this movie was fantastical and it was like a storybook. Now when I watch it, it's like therapy. It's like, is this where you're at in your life? Oh, this is like what you got coming. And I'm like, wah! And it's just like, you know, I'm at a very different age than the last time I think I sat down and watched this from the very beginning to the very end. And it does not help that Albert Finney looks exactly like my grandfather on my mother's side. So like he just, every time I see Albert Finney in anything, I'm like, oh. So yeah, and I like automatically have a connection to him. So yeah. And so yeah, I'll watch this movie anytime.
Oh yeah, well, actually, I won't watch it anytime because it's too much of an emotional roller coaster.
It is, yeah.
I love, oh my gosh, I knew I loved this movie, but I forgot how much I loved this movie. And also, it's a personal preference thing, because this movie is everything that I love in a story or in a movie, because I have an affinity for films and for stories that kind of jump between reality as well as somebody's skewed interpretation of reality, or like fantasy, like the fantasy that they retreat to. So like Wizard of Oz is my all-time favorite movie. Well, Truman Show is kind of that, but different. Midsummer Night's Dream, my interpretation of it is that that's what it is. Like all the things that I love are some version of what this movie is. Plus, I also just love films that explore every corner of the planet and time in different ways and give me variety in that way, which is something that this movie is doing. And it's all grounded by what I feel is a tragically beautiful family story that is just so well acted that I am floored just by how much I love this movie. Yeah. I loved seeing Burton directing a drama and having him seeing what he did for scenes where it was just people talking. Like as a teenager watching it, I didn't appreciate the Albert Finney stuff at all. And that became one of my favorite parts of this film. Just watching Albert Finney speak and being such an incredible storyteller and having that be like at the heart of what this movie is anyway. And even like specifically the scene when he's telling the story to Marion Cotillard, Marion. Yeah, I'll just call her Marion. He's telling the story to Marion in the middle of the night about how the crow told him that his father was going to die, then it was the milkman. Just having that build up and then having it end in a joke, but feel like such a serious thing. Like, Albert Finney. So good. And then, like, also this movie hits very differently when you have a dead parent. I'll just say it. So this was also my first time watching it since having had a dead parent. So there is that as well. But I think I don't know, there's just so much truth, I feel, to the parent-child dynamics that are explored in this film about generations not understanding each other. And a thing that I picked up on in this rewatch that I don't think I really clocked in on the first time I watched it, like as a teenager, was that what's his face? Billy Crudup, Ungrateful Son, that he doesn't really make up with his dad. They just kind of, I don't know, he just kind of makes peace with him. But the last time they have a coherent conversation, it's an argument. And then their last moments where he's kind of conscious, it's kind of just like he's building a bridge, but nothing is really remedied between the two of them, which I like. I think that's, yeah, like, oh, Alex doesn't agree.
Well,
like he tells the story and he gains an appreciation, I feel, for his father's life, and it allows him to go forward into parenthood with a newfound appreciation, I think, for his dad. But I feel like the movie doesn't give us the moment of them like hugging and saying, Dad, I appreciate you and understand you now. Like not in those words, but
spoon feeding us.
Yeah.
And it also doesn't have to be like 100% okay at the end, you know?
Yeah, like I feel like this is where I kind of like the movie. Where it's realistic. Like there are so many people who have that experience of not making up with their parent or, you know, having proper closure before they pass away. And like that is something like in people's grief work that they have to work through. And like it is what it is and it's sad, but like I'm happy that it didn't end in a happy ending. It was kind of like, yeah, like this is a very realistic thing where you don't get full closure from a parent that you've had tension with all your life.
Mm-hmm. No, and my favorite part about the movie is the funeral scene at the end, because I think that's where his closure comes. And I just think it's so narratively and emotionally satisfying to see everybody that he talked about show up, but to just be slightly less fantastical than he made them sound. And like my favorite part potentially of the whole film is when you see the twins talking to someone, then one of them just walks away and you're like, oh my gosh, literally probably everything that Ed said about these women was true, except for the fact that he conjoined them in his story. Yeah. Probably to make it a little bit more fantastical for the sake of his kid. Or like the giant isn't 20 feet tall.
It's a very Wizard of Oz moment when you come back and realize that, exactly. That everybody was kind of who they are. Right.
Yeah. And like, I love an unreliable narrator. And I think there's so much added nuance to this film that I didn't pick up on the first time, specifically surrounding Jenny. Like, I think Jenny's a fascinating character because I always took it at face value that he didn't have an affair with her, but now I think he did. That's just
Really?
me. I think he
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
I always, yeah, as a teen and now, I still don't think they actually had an affair.
I think they hooked up a few times, but that his heart wasn't in it, and he wasn't willing to leave his wife for her.
No, but that he cared about her enough.
But he cared about her.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah.
No, that that's another thing. I think, you know, this movie is one of those movies that ages with you.
Mhm.
Like I said, like this movie was a completely different feeling this time. And I identify, like when I watched it for most of my life, I identified with the Ewan McGregor character, right? That's like a lot of hope, a lot of bright, like I'm just going to keep moving forward. I'm going to do what I want to do. My future is open. And now I'm watching it and I'm like, oh, I'm the son. I'm the lame son. Yeah, that's me. That I'm like, oh man, that stinks. So it kind of like made it way like not nearly as like it used to feel like this, like I said, like the storybook movie, and now I'm like, oh, this is really deep. Oh, so I think this whole thing kind of ages with you.
Yeah. See, thank you, Vince.
Thank you for that.
Oh my god, she was a child. I know, like they said he was 18 when he left town.
I couldn't believe that was the first time I realized that was in this rewatch. I was like 18.
Oh yeah, I was like,
Great.
Ewan McGregor even at that time. He wasn't 18.
No, he wasn't 18. I know.
He was 32 and
Yeah,
he
he
was
was.
pushing.
And he looked 32.
Like no. And so I don't know. Maybe it was because of like that casting choice. I don't know. But I don't know. I think the reason why I don't think they hooked up was I don't know, like Helena's character as Jenny, because she also played the witch, right?
Mhm.
As Jenny, like I don't know, there seemed to be like kind of like, oh, like I lost, like I didn't get the guy, or like I didn't even have a chance with the guy, but I'm like settling for the life that he's like has helped and supported me in because he's cared about me. So I don't know, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I like to think he didn't because the age gap is weird.
Oh yeah, no,
Although
like she even said,
does not
turned out it was
play
a big
10
difference.
years younger than Ewan McGregor in that movie
Yeah.
either. So I didn't really feel weird when she was so dolled up. I was like, ah.
Yeah, no, but like I adored Helena in this movie, and I knew I would because she's good in everything. But I also forgot how good she was in this film in all the roles that she played, and like not even just the Jenny story. One of the things I enjoyed the most watching this was kind of filling in the blanks for what the reality of his stories probably were. Like when he's talking about how he had to be put on a machine because he was growing too quickly. I'm like, is that your equivalent of saying you were probably on an iron lung in the 40s because of medical complications? And just sort of filling in those blanks and realizing like there's so much tip of the iceberg going on here, to use Billy Crudup's metaphor, that I find absolutely fascinating. And yeah.
I agree. Like, I think, I mean, I didn't quite delve into sort of that kind of an analysis, but what I kind of, what's, you know, relevant to what you're saying that I thought of was, and it's relatively obvious, at least in my mind, is like the whole, or one of the themes being, you know, Billy Crudup's father, like telling all these fantastical stories about his life, and the ending of the movie, which is, you know, with him with when you know Crudup tells his death story, and like how all these people show up, and he says the story of my, like, you know, the story of my life and all this stuff. Like, it's it begs the question, why was he so, like, the movie doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't give us a clear answer as to why he invented those stories. You know, it gives us possible answers, but it still begs the question, like, really, was it really just because you had so much fun and joy and being an entertainer? Because when you're on your deathbed and your son's telling you the story and you're just eating it up, like that's not you entertaining anybody. That's you, that's you going into the great beyond in your fairy tale, which is in some part very like I also found like, or whatever, like I didn't cry, but I found it it was a touching ending. I didn't cry, as it wasn't crying. But it was touching, but it still also begged the question for me. I was like, like this also kind of indicates like maybe something that's not ideal or something that I wouldn't necessarily want. I wouldn't necessarily want to, die in a fantasy, world. Ignoring the reality of what my life actually was and amounted to and all that kind of stuff. So and I feel like that's kind of similar to what you were saying about like, were there things that is this movie kind of implying in different ways and in different spots, like that, these fantastical stories are covering something that might be, I don't know, morbid or darker or whatever it is. Even and this whole like this discussion of like whether he banged Jenny, is that the daughter's name, or no?
Is this the technical term we're going with for this discussion?
Vince introduced it. We have to give the audience what they want, I guess.
That's what you guys discuss. But that never even crossed my mind watching the movie. I never even like doubted.
Well, they use the word affair. I mean,
no.
And that's the thing. She doesn't say no. She doesn't answer him, and that was the first.
Well, she does, but
you're going there already, or you want to go there now. Like
she circles around it, then she tells him a story, but she doesn't give him a solid yes or no.
No, and I think we're to take away from it that they were intimate. I don't think we're supposed to take away any specifics about that, but he obviously cared enough to go spend time there and say he was somewhere else.
Yeah,
I mean, that's an affair.
And like, it almost felt to me like she was telling as true a version of the story as she could while still being respectful of Edward's memory, knowing she was talking to his son and knowing that Edward was literally on his deathbed. So I feel like everything she said was true, but then when it got to the point where they were about to kiss, I think in reality they probably did kiss, and who's to say how far that went.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
when she's telling the story, she just jumps to the point when he says, I love my wife, I can't go further with you.
Well,
oh, good.
Well, I mean, this just like begs the question, and something that I was thinking of in terms of like the stories. So, like, yes, it is told to us that Albert Finney is the one who tells the story to Billy Crudup, and like that's it. Like, he's telling these fantastical stories. There's a part of me as an audience member that is thinking, what if all these like playbacks of the story are actually Billy Crudup's interpretation of what his father is saying? And he never said there were Siamese twins or conjoined twins. They were twins. And in Billy Crudup's kid mind, he fantasized that they were actually conjoined. Or like, about the giant, like Albert Finney may have just said he was a very tall man. And like that was like something that, and it like just begs the question of, what, like how wonderful oral history is, but how like kind of fallible it is in a way. And, but like, it's exciting, but I mean, there's also the whole thing of whether or not Billy Crudup's character believed the stories were real based on his interpretation or whatever Albert Finney was actually saying, why he was so angry of these stories. I think that's the reason why I disliked the movie. I didn't understand the son's irritation of the father. And I've been
the father acted selfishly, right? Like he did go and be with this other woman. Whenever he would tell these stories, it was always in a situation that would make the situation about him. Even to the point where the mom was kind of a meek character, which she was from the get-go, so it wasn't that unusual, but she was kind of like, no, we do what he says. He kind of leads, so like to a degree, it does kind of fit in with the first movie that we talked about. Like he's not a bad guy for it, but he very much is the charmer that makes everything about him.
Yeah, but like it seems like there was like this line that he said that he's making up these stories. I remember like Billy Crudup was like saying like, oh, he's like a liar, like there's no realness to these stories. And I'm like,
Yeah.
like I totally get the whole like, yes, you're being selfish for taking up space at my wedding or at my prom night. Yeah, that's annoying and should not be happening and that needs to stop. But yeah, like the frustration of him feeling like whether the stories were real or not, I'm like, that's not a thing to be like mad about your father of. Like I don't know. There was also this thing that I was thinking about where I see a lot of father and son storylines where they're toxic. So much so that like when I met Vince and his father, I was like completely shocked that like they got along so fine and they were respectful to each other. And I'm like, it's because I watched so many movies where father and son relationships have that toxic quality of like being disgruntled to your dad or the dad being abusive to the son. And yeah, I think like that trope was very obvious to me in this one. And maybe if I watch it again, like when I'm older and like other life things happen to me, I'll like it more. But I just, yeah, like if my dad, who doesn't tell a lot of stories at all, if he were to do something like that, I would love it. And maybe that's the case of like the grass is greener on the other side.
Yeah.
But I felt bad for Albert Finney, and I felt like it was a toxic trait that Billy Crudup was written to play. So yeah.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of, I don't want to say problematic, but it's tough to sympathize with whatever the son's name is, Billy Crudup's character. because Edward Bloom is just so engaging that as an audience member, I love him. I just want to hear the stories. And I think that's just the consequence of who that character is meant to be. Like everyone except for his son is engaged by him. But one thing that made me, I guess, feel a little bit more sympathy for Billy Crudup's character in this movie was just that point. I think this point comes too late in the movie because I've already made up my mind about how I feel about Billy Crudup. But there's a point like 3/4 of the way through the movie when he says, my dad was gone so much when I was a kid that like I didn't really have any relationship with him. So when you kind of have that perspective of this is somebody who absolutely everybody loves, it almost paints the picture of a parent figure who is almost like more of a parent to everybody else aside from the actual kid and aside from the family. And so I feel that could have been established stronger, but hearing that line this time made things make a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
I want to say that line happened. Oh, good.
No, I just think like that line completely bypassed me in this viewing. Because I was like, yeah, he's a working guy. He's providing for his family, but it didn't resonate with me to that point.
Yeah, the way the movie's laid out, it definitely feels like he was a better father than I feel like he was for the first half. Because like the first 30 minutes is so much of like young Ewan McGregor telling stories to young like little kid Billy Crudup, like in the bedroom and whatever, that I just assumed that he had a very present relationship.
Yeah, they do kind of contradict themselves a bit on that point.
Yeah, but I feel like when he got older, he was spending more time with Jenny in what's it called? In the place that starts with an S.
Spectre.
Inspector.
Yeah.
Inspector. And I suspect that probably around the time Billy was like out of the age when his dad was doing like shadow puppets on the walls, that's when he started traveling for work and was having his extramarital affair with Jenny Inspector.
What did Edward Bloom do? Like as
he was a salesman for the hand things.
Like a traveling, like on the road.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Going to places, things.
Yeah.
doing the hard work, hitting the pavement.
Yeah, getting the bill, paying the bills. Yeah.
Alex was going to say something.
Well, I was just going to say that I thought like that line that you referenced, I was maybe remembering that it was when his wife is asking her if he loves his dad, Is that when he responds with the, well,
Yes.
you understand that like he wasn't really around type thing, which
Yeah.
I think is an interesting, and I was just kind of like, I think that is kind of a powerful like context for it, like, and a sympathetic one where it's like, on the one hand, this, his wife is asking this sort of like seemingly obvious question of like, of course I love my dad, would be the answer. But when he responds with, well, you have to understand this and that, there's kind of like a, oh shit, like it's kind of, you're not answering the question. That seems kind of significant. Like that seems like a big deal. And we can, I don't know, like as opposed to just seeing Billy Crudup's character be like, Dad, you're a liar. Dad, I hate you. Dad, why'd you ruin my prom or my wedding or whatever the heck it was. Like, like these kinds of things. Cause I did feel, even though I liked Billy Crudup in this movie, and like, I didn't mind his character. I actually like whatever related to it as well.
Matches.
Throwing matches.
Anyway, yeah, no. So and then I did want to, like, it's doesn't really matter, but like I personally just didn't. I thought, like, I don't think it's that, like, the whole idea of, oh, he spent a lot of time with Jenny. It's like, yeah, I would do that. I like, and yeah, there might have been like an affair in the sense of like, yes, he may be very clear. He clearly cared about her, and he maybe had complex feelings for her in a way that might be worrisome to a faithful wife. But I like, there's nothing that, like, I don't find it unbelievable that a man would spend years and build and do all this shit just to be
Did you just say it a second time to acknowledge that you shouldn't have said
it's
it?
not really a swear word, yeah.
Okay,
But anyway, just to be in the presence and with somebody that he cared about and stuff, and what, I don't think there's any necessity of them like being carnal with each other, as it were. But anyway.
Well, we'll discuss that in a second. Jeanette, I know, has to go soon. So Jeanette, do you have closing thoughts on Big Fish, or a favorite moment, or anything you'd like to leave us with for this movie?
I think, like I said before, that this movie ages with you. So right now, what this movie is either conveying to me, teaching me, whatever its message is to me is, if you are a child of parents that you find something toxic about, there may be a period in your life where you need to not be quite so close to them, but that you probably shouldn't make it too long. So yeah. That's kind of what this movie is doing for me in my life. Like I said, free therapy watching this movie this time around. And then on Big Eyes, I'll probably watch it again. I just, the more things I can get Christoph Waltz in, the better. So that's how I feel about that. Yeah.
Love it. All right. Thank you, Jeanette. So wait, I'll full screen you. You could tell everyone all the fun things about you and where to find you.
Sure. So you can find me here on Teacup for One. You can find me on We Like Theme Parks, and we will be starting Villains League very soon. So you should check that out over on We Like Theme Parks.
Woo! Thank you, Jeanette. Hold on. How do I? There we go. I did it. No, I don't want to be full screen. There's everyone else. There we go. Hooray! Okay. So yeah, I can't remember where we were. Oh yeah. Carnal with Jenny or not. Like, not even, I feel like maybe not even necessarily carnal. I think it could have even still been an emotional affair. I feel like he was more invested in her than he let on anyone to believe, because that whole thing about him saving the town, I feel entirely that was because of a devotion to Jenny and some kind of responsibility he felt to Jenny. But who's to say? Like, I love the unreliable narrator quality of this movie, because it does leave so much open to interpretation, which I think is absolutely beautiful. And also, speaking of absolutely beautiful, Jessica Lange broke my heart. She was, oh my gosh.
Like, Jessica Lange?
She was the older wife.
Oh, okay.
And I'm so used to seeing her in roles of extreme power that seeing her in something more understated it was a nice change of pace, but she just had these moments that like broke me. Like when she gets into the tub with him and then she becomes the fish and then she starts crying and it's like, oh, I'm here to dry off. I'm like, oh my gosh, because the tears are going to wash away in the water. And then when he's in the coma or whatever, then she takes his hand to do this. And then in the imaginary story, when like that's his thing with her, that's like his last moment with her, is just touching her chin. I'm like, this is so beautiful. Jessica Lange, I adore you. But what performances in this movie, if any, stood out for you the most? Were either the most emotionally resonant or the most engaging? Like one specific actor in this movie. Start with Lisa.
Danny DeVito.
Always.
DeVito. I love Danny DeVito so much, and everything he does, he cannot do any wrong. And I just love that, like, he was a werewolf and like just the ringmaster. He was so funny. He was so like, I don't know. I love Danny DeVito. He's just so great. I wanted more of him, and I did like Jessica Lange. I normally do like Jessica Lange, but on the other flip side, feel like she was underutilized. And maybe because it was more like softer moments that we saw her in. But yeah, I like wanted more. I wanted more. I wanted more of everyone and less of Billy Crudup. Sorry, I did not like Billy Crudup. The only time I liked Billy Crudup is in Good Morning, the show on Apple with Jennifer Aniston. That like producer guy that like that corrupt con artist. Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like his interpretation of this role. But yeah, Danny DeVito for the win. More Danny DeVito.
Always more Danny DeVito. It's like the classic Facebook meme about how he always has to be in a Tim Burton movie with a big hat.
Yes. And it's funny, the guy who played the mime, who was
Oompa Loompa?
Yeah, who's known to be all the Oompa Loompas.
Yeah.
To me, it was kind of like joyous to see them together because Danny DeVito is also a short man, but is taller than this actor. So I just kept being like, oh, I bet he feels like such a tall 6 foot model beside him. Because he's a very short man, Danny DeVito.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's like it's nice to see the Tim Burton Repertory Theater Company coming together in this movie. Alex, who's your performer in this film?
Well, special shout out to Steve Buscemi.
Always
a fan. Always a fan. But probably, Helena Bonham Carter. I think she was my favorite. My favorite in this movie. I thought, at first I didn't because I had never seen the film, so I saw the witch come in and I was like, okay, yeah, that's Helena Bonham Carter, and I was like, oh, is that it? That's kind of lame. And then I was surprised. Like lame, exactly. I didn't think she did anything bad, but it was also like kind of a
waste of Helena Bonham Carter.
Like she had, you couldn't really see her face. Like I was like, she didn't really anybody could have done that, but
no, the cheekbones are so witch-like. It's perfect.
As the witch though, she did so many cool like little subtle expressions that read so powerful, like little mouth twitches and everything. That. Like I appreciate that, but I don't think. I'm not actually saying that she didn't do any acting or anything. I'm just saying, in principle, I was just kind of like, oh, okay. Like, but when she came back as older Jenny, even though I didn't believe her age or whatever, I thought she did great. I actually thought she had a good accent, a nice accent. I don't think I've heard her in that speak that way before. But I was pleasantly surprised by her accent because I've never bought Ewan McGregor's accent. Or
Ewan McGregor's interesting. Like I don't think it's like terrible or anything like that, but it is very much like it does very much sound like Ewan McGregor putting on an accent. Like it's very much like like I know what you normally sound like, and it's like I can still hear it. Yeah. But yeah, no. So yeah, I thought she did it. She's almost always good. I won't commit to like always incredible, but like sorry, I can't think of a bad. I think
you're not a true fan, Alex.
I'm okay with that. I won't claim that title. I won't. But Yeah, but oh yeah, and also yeah, like that. I'm so you reminded me with when you said Danny DeVito and Mr. Soggy Bottom, the Oompa Loompa, like that scene where he has the gun and he's aiming for DeVito and he's got the tear. Like that's another shout out, another potential Oscar candidate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Has Danny DeVito ever won an Oscar?
I don't think so.
That's a
I
shame.
don't know for sure, but it is a shame. He does so many things.
He's done some I think he's done a couple of like serious films, like a couple
yeah.
of like, not that you need to win an Oscar, but
Well,
I think he's
now you do.
roles.
Back in the day, you didn't, but there it is.
Yeah.
But anyway, I spoke for so long about why I love the movie. Lisa, please regale me, or not regale me, but I want to hear the opposing opinion, specifically the Forrest Gump thing, because I'm still not sold on. I hate Forrest Gump.
I'm not sold on that either. I thought of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy personally.
I don't know Hitchhiker's Guide.
I have not seen the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, but
Neither.
I know it's on the list. It's on the list. I'll probably watch it during the holidays. But I think I captured why I did not like this movie and like why. Yeah, like it just doesn't resonate with me earlier about like the toxic masculinity and all those other reasons. But the reason I think it's a poor man's version of Forrest Gump is because it had that feeling of like nostalgia factor for sure of like reminiscing the good old days and like reminiscing like one's life.
Yeah,
and
they're both like stories of like the past, right?
Exactly, yeah. And with Forrest Gump, like that character specifically, like his story seems so fantastical that like it doesn't not in the way of like giants and stuff, but fantastical as in a disabled boy growing up to be a soldier, meeting the president, like all of this is not to say that like that seems so unrealistic in real life, but for the time period, it's like it's kind of shocking. And so the reason why I'm like, so that's that parallel. And the reason why I'm like, okay, Forrest Gump is better than Big Fish is because of I think the pacing of the movies, like Big Fish's pacing at the beginning up until like 3/4 in was wonky for me. And like I felt that like Jenny's character was put into a more like important role, which I don't understand why or care for that to be like such a gravitas role. And yeah, just like the whole like Billy Crudup's and maybe it's like hinged on the character's view of his dad, that the pacing is a little wonky for me because he doesn't have the full picture of the dad's life or the stories that he has. And with Forrest Gump, it's like there is the antagonist, there is like no real antagonist to be like challenging the momentum forward of the story, which could be bad. And I can understand why some people are like, yeah, you need like an opposing challenge. And I think in Forrest Gump, those challenges are like, the things he overcomes in his life. And that's why I like resonate with Forrest Gump so much more. Like I can see, like, again, I'm not Forrest Gump. I have very different life, but I've experienced obstacles and I've overcome it. And like on the other side, you're like, wow, I did that. I couldn't believe that. And then in Big Fish, it's not like, I don't hate my dad. I love my dad. And like, I dislike people who dislike their parents who are not toxic. And he might be toxic after the conversations we've had right now. So anyway, yeah, I just think there's a lot of parallels, and I feel like the pacing in which these like old nostalgic stories are told are done better in Forrest Gump than Big Fish. And no shade, just some tea. And I'll leave it at that.
No, that makes total sense. I need to revisit Forrest Gump. Well, I say I need to. I don't want to because I remember really disliking it, but I should give it a second chance. But no, I think the pacing absolutely makes sense. I think from what I recall, the strength of Forrest Gump is gained to see the chronological progression over time, just like through his life story, which I think is super powerful. Like on paper, again, I can't remember much aside from remembering being angry while watching it, but like for Big Fish, definitely the pacing is weird, and I think that's again going to my personal preference because I love unreliable narrator stories. I love being able to fill in blanks for myself. It's something that works for me, but I can totally see how it doesn't work overall because the pacing is definitely weird.
Yeah, and I think it's because the in terms of what you're saying, like the unreliable narrator and like how it's not chronological, like I love a nice like jigsaw piece of the story. Like again, Haunting of Hill House, love it. It's a complete jigsaw. But I didn't quite understand in Big Fish the reasoning for it to be not chronological because I don't even remember the first story that is told in Big Fish that seems fantastical. But the one that pops into my mind is obviously like when he's born and then the witch story. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like it could be chronological. I don't understand why Edward Bloom's story as Ewan McGregor is told out of sequence. And like dramaturgically, I'm like, why? Like, why can't you just tell it as is? What is the reason for this puzzle piece? Is it for us to fill in the blanks? That's fine. Then that's a preference. And I'm okay with not filling in the blanks.
Yeah. No, and I think it lends to the confusion because there are so many different perspectives. Like it's mostly Edward telling a story, but then sometimes it's Billy Crudup's character, I think, recounting a time his dad was telling him a story. So it's like flashbacks within flashbacks, and definitely there's confusion to be had there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think, and the reason why I liked the ending of it more was because the pace, like it seemed like there was really nice momentum of Billy Crudup like seeing everybody at the funeral, and like it was just kind of like a domino effect once he realized that his dad was like passing and he wanted to comfort him. And so I don't know, maybe I need to watch it again in like a few months and not in a few years to like just like kind of like relish into the jigsawness of it. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'll revisit Forrest Gump and see if that feather annoys me less. And then
the feather,
the feather was the moment that lost me at the beginning, and then when it came back at the end, I thought, Matt, your first instinct was right. We're back where we started with the stupid feather. But Forrest Gump deserves a second chance because literally everyone I know loves it. So
we'll
I'm missing
revisit
something.
Yeah.
Let me offer a couple of alternative perspectives.
Do it.
What you guys were discussing. One, personally, I don't recall. So, to me, I think for the most part, Big Fish's stories are chronological. Like the main bulk of the stories, we don't see like Ewan going from like young to old to young to old to young to old. We have like I think the first story is the fish story where he wrangles the big catfish and gets the wedding ring for his mother. But for the most part, we just see a relatively like we don't necessarily see like May 25th going to May 26th, but in terms of just a story happening after like going forward in time, as far as I can recall, that seems like to mostly be the case. It just goes back to like Billy Crudup's time period, like the non-story world.
I think the major stories are more or less in chronological order, but I think the confusion is that, again, since some of them are framed as flashbacks within flashbacks, like you see Ewan McGregor in the 70s, presumably, or the 80s, talking to young Billy Crudup, like in his bed, and then that's just a piece of the puzzle that's out of time before it moves on to the bigger story that's like in the chronology of Edward's life. So I think just those little road bumps
Yeah, like that can be confusing in terms of like, okay, are we seeing a fantastical story? Are we seeing the like actual like, because Ewan McGregor's real, right? He's just young, whatever that actor's name is, and the young version of him. So yeah, but we're so used to seeing Ewan McGregor in the fantasy stories that I can totally see that. But in terms of like just like that chronology of it or whatever, like that part of it seems consistent for the most part. But yeah, and then the other thing is that for your point, Lisa, about it sounded like you were saying like one of the points you were making about why you dislike the film is that you feel like Billy Crudup's character, like you don't understand why he feels the way he does about his dad. You don't feel like it's justified. It sounds like when he has these like this feeling of whatever that's hate or just like saying you're telling lies and all these things. That it's like, well, he's just a storyteller or whatever it is. It's like, why? Yeah, is that fair to say? Like, is that kind of a point of what you were saying? Like, you don't.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't fully buy. I don't fully buy into his dislike or frustration with his dad, and I think it's like because of the writing, it's not fully clear because of like, okay, yeah, the dad was like with him telling stories. Like if he wasn't around, he wouldn't have these stories that he remembers. And then, oh my God, what was my thoughts? And also like Billy Crudup's interpretation. Like I think he's a whiny actor when he's trying to play subtle and like sincere. No, like whatever. I really like him in other roles. I think he was like, just like victimizing himself. And maybe I just don't have a lot of patience for those characters anymore.
Yeah, the character's kind of insufferable.
Yeah, and like that's fine. Like, I mean, like I definitely in different interpretations. Like if you put in another actor in that role, maybe it would have been different.
Yeah.
But I do think it falls on the burden of the writers. Like it didn't connect the dots to me. So whether or not like it was Billy Crudup being a whiny baby, in my opinion, or it was another actor and there was a sincerity to it that I could have bought, I think there was just like inconsistency in the writing that I was like, I don't buy that this dad was completely out of the picture because he wouldn't have all of these like flashbacks to prom, his wedding, all these stories he remembers. And the real reason that I left the movie thinking was he didn't like that his dad was telling these fantastical stories, which I then interpreted as he just was interpreting those stories in a different way than the dad was telling. And so, yeah, I think like it's complex, but yeah, I think it's it's the not understanding the son's perspective, and it falls on the writing of the movie.
So what about there's the scene where the father like ends with the father saying, it's something that I'm gonna whatever paraphrase it, but he says they get in an argument and he says, I've been myself, like I've been acting like myself my whole life, and if you don't know that, then that's your failing, not mine. And so to me, what that scene's about, to me, that scene kind of really verbalizes what I perceive as the main conflict between the son and the father, which is that Billy Crudup's character feels like, and I think he says this in basically more or less the same words, but he feels like he just doesn't know his dad. He feels like he spent a lifetime with his dad, in and out, here and there, whether his father was, along for the ride most of the time or away. He feels like because his father, specifically with the storytelling, he feels like he's heard so many great stories and he's seen his father telling these stories at parties, and he's experienced his father telling him these stories directly, intimately at bedtime or whatever. He feels like as he's grown up now, he feels like he doesn't understand him. He's disconnected from him. All he has are these stories. He feels like he doesn't have the reality of what actually happened to your life, what actually, like, how did you meet mom, how did you do this? And then there's that scene even in the hospital towards the end where that the
doctor
friend, is it the doctor or is it just the family? Is he the doctor?
I think he's the doctor.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's the guy who says, you want to know the real story.
Yeah, because he's the doctor that delivered Billy Crudup.
Yeah.
So
and then he says the real story, right? And then Billy Crudup is like, oh, I kind of like that version, better and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what are your thoughts on that? Does that perspective of like, he's not necessarily targeting the fact, like, Crudup isn't, like, his character isn't.
Let's just call him Crudup. It's sure.
Crudup isn't like isn't specifically, whine. I do agree he's whining, but he's not necessarily whining about how his father wasn't around or how he doesn't like the stories in general, but he's specifically whining about how the stories aren't reality as far as he's concerned, and he wants reality of his father, and he feels, for better or worse, or accurately or not, he feels like he doesn't know his father through the stories, whereas the father, clearly his retort to that is, well, I am me, like, I am my stories are their stories. He acknowledges their stories and their that they're entertainment, but he also feels like they are him, and he's like, yeah, if you don't know me, basically that line is also like if you don't know me by now, type of line. So how is that particular idea?
I mean, I think that like the basic what I've interpreted over time as like people telling stories to one another is that even if you're recounting something, it's never going to be 100% true. It is like your perspective, and another person who is part of that memory or that story is going to have a different perspective. And so for the father to tell this, let's just like use the example of the giant, right? He called this guy a giant, and he was just a tall guy, but that's how he felt, right? And so I agree with Albert Finney, Edward Bloom, in that moment of like, I am my stories. I see the world fantastical. And if you don't buy that as my son, after all this time, after all the stories I've told, whether you believe it's real or not, the fact that like you are frustrated with me for just existing and for being myself is sad. Like, that is sad. And my perspective is not from like a father or son kind of a situation. It's like just like on a human to human level, where like you don't relate to someone if you don't buy their stories. And it can be whatever, like, not speaking on like a pathological liar kind of situation, but like if I'm recounting a story to my friend about a trip that I had, and it's like super fantastical, but then my partner tells it and it's not that fantastical, but it's still a good trip. That was my perspective and that was my experience. And like, whatever, if you don't honor it, then that's fine. But it does sadden the general story more so because he is the son and he is the father. And I completely am on like Edward Bloom's side when he says that, because I'm like, this is how he sees the world. He's always seen the world in this like beautiful, like vibrant way. And I think what's really sad, even more sad, is that he tried to like imbue his son with these like with this kind of energy for life that he grew up and he didn't take it, and like he has a different personality than him, and that's fine, but there is no respect and there's no or like at least like through a lot of the movie, like there's like that frustration and there's no I think like grace for his father aging with these stories too, because there could also be like, I don't know, like, this is an assumption, but like he could have Alzheimer's or like, a neurological disorder that we don't know about that creates these fantastical stories. So there is like, there's no grace on Crudup's character. And I just wonder if like, I don't know, like an editor would have helped the writer or writers to just extrapolate that a little bit more, to have a little bit more tenderness
Mhm.
I would have like been like, that's like more delicious. But yeah, like I think to your part of like him not knowing the son, not knowing the father, I'm like, that was, yeah, I agree. Like that was it. That was who he was. And he never for a second like tried to dull down his spirit to comfort his son, because in his view, he was comforting his son with his stories. And I think there's something beautiful in that. And yes, like I do think they're both like stubborn characters, but yeah, I don't know. I just like didn't buy it.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like that's almost a trap of, I like how flawed both the characters are, but then the flip side of it is that Crudup's character is so cold that it's hard to invest in the movie. I think that's why as a teenager I like just kind of ignored him, and I was just in it for the fantastical flashbacks. I was like, tell me another story, Edward Bloom. Now I still don't care for Crudup's character, but I can appreciate him a little bit more, as well as appreciate the flawed dynamic between the two of them, because I feel like it's just such a universal thing about generations not understanding each other, because instead of trying to understand one another, they try to get them to be who they want them to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's what both these guys are doing. Like I think Edward just wants his son to accept the fantasy, and yeah, Crudup just wants him to tell the truth, and they won't meet each other halfway or have any respect for what they're looking for. But also Bob Hunt had an interesting point, which I think kind of speaks to what you were saying, Lisa, about how his wife used to work in a long-term care facility, and there was a point where you stop correcting people's memories, whether they're accurate, because of the emotional truth. Yeah. I feel like that's the strength for this movie, is that as annoying as Crudup can be, and as I think problematic as Edward can be when you get past how fantastical it is, there is so much emotional truth grounding all the magic, and you know, that's why I love the movie.
Yeah,
that's me. Yeah.
I think, I don't know. I wonder. I mean, I definitely think that the way Crudup came to the movie with his like whininess, it was a good juxtaposition to the wondrous and curiousness of Edward Bloom. But I wonder if he approached it with curiosity, but like a cynicism, it would have been different, like a different vibe for the entire movie. Because you can like not believe someone, but like still be curious and like, not, frustrated about it. So yeah, I don't know. I think it would be an interesting remake if like this were to ever be remade in the future, like in the next 20 years with like a completely different cast. And maybe some edits.
Yeah. I mean, there is a musical, so it has been revisited.
Oh,
in some form. Yeah.
How is the musical?
I remember liking it, but also I saw it like right after I'd gotten off the bus in New York, and I hadn't slept all night, so I was really tired and delusional. So I don't remember very much, but I remember thinking, this is great. Norbert Leo Butz was Edward Bloom at all ages, and he put in like one of the best performances I've seen from a human in my life. Like he's in my top 5, but that's just because of that specific performer. The music, I don't care for Andrew Lippa generally, but I know lots of people do. So the music is fine. Like the scene when he meets his wife and time stops. The song is called Time Stops. It's a bop. Well, it's not a bop, but it's a really beautiful song. Yeah, like the musical, I think it's solid. I remember hating the son even more though. So maybe.
Oh no.
Although it could have just been the actor. But there's a really beautiful monologue at the end when he's telling the story. So there's that.
Okay.
But yeah.
I'll have to revisit it. I'll have to revisit the movie and visit the musical.
Yeah. Anyway, who's ready for the game?
I'm so excited for the game. What is the game?
Okay. So the game, I actually didn't really think this out too much. But for the game, is anyone still watching in the chat? Because the chat is kind of involved in this game. So if anyone in the chat wants to play, please type me and let me know that you're committed to playing the game. Yeah, that's how this will work. So
Vince, say me.
Yeah, Vince, say me. Actually, while that happens, talk amongst yourselves. I have to go to the bathroom because I'm sick and I've been drinking a lot of fluids. So entertain Yeah, entertain the audience for like 35 seconds to, well, we'll see if I throw up, to however long it takes. Okay.
All right.
BRB.
Alex, what's your favorite Ewan McGregor movie?
Ooh. I'm terrible at these questions because it takes me a really long time to like, and I feel like it's like, yeah, it's like if I'm gonna pick like a favorite, it's like, okay, give me like a month to like comb through the memories, watch everything, write down my thoughts, like. But I'll tell you a movie that I've thought of that I keep kind of thinking of with starring Ewan McGregor. I think it's called The Island, and who is he with? It's I think it's a notable female actress, but the premise of The Island is pretty interesting, and I think he might even star in another movie that has a similar premise as well. But let's see, The Island, 2005, Scarlett Johansson, yeah. So it's yeah, and hey, Steve Buscemi is in it too. But yeah, so The Island is basically it's this. So the premise is that Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson, they're like born and raised in this, I guess, like community facility, and things are like kind of ideal or futuristic. They all wear like white suits and stuff, and there's like whatever. There's advanced technology. Everything's good, and they think that they are like they have a chance to win a lottery that takes them to the island and to this like paradise that's even better, whatever. Like they're not in like they grow up in like a facility. It's not a paradise, the facility. Yeah, their needs are taken care of, but it's not like,
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so they think there's this lottery. You find out, and I don't know, this is potentially a spoiler, so I don't know if I should spoil it or not. So if you're, but it basically, I won't spoil it yet, but basically you find out that the island, that the lottery is not what it seems to be, and then shenanigans ensue. But it's a really interesting, it's a really interesting premise. But in order for it to be really interesting, I'd have to.
What is it? What is this property that's being discussed?
The Island. It's a film with Ewan McGregor. She asked me what my favorite Ewan McGregor film was, and it's not my favorite, I don't think, but it's just one that, because I'm terrible at favorite questions, but I would have
guessed one of the Star Wars prequels.
I mean, Ewan McGregor is one of the only good things about the Star Wars prequels.
I thought you liked this. I thought we've argued about this, but I thought you liked them.
I don't. The only thing that like I like is my only like controversial opinion.
Oh, you don't like number 3?
Yeah, I think number 1 is the best one. But I don't think any of them are good. I just number 1 has Ewan McGregor and Liam Neeson, and it's but I mean they all have Ewan McGregor, but Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor. Whew.
I know what a combo.
But yeah, I also really like
Moulin Rouge.
I
hate Moulin Rouge.
Yeah.
Oh my god, but his beautiful singing voice, it's so good. I personally like the movie that he did with Christopher Plummer, where Christopher
Beginners,
yeah. Christopher Plummer is an older man, and he is like a single man, and he comes out as gay, and Ewan McGregor is trying to like be like, what? How I have a gay father who's like in his 80s, what? And he talks to his dog like it's a human, and it's really cute, and I think he's adorable. Along with Dr. Sleep, I think Dr. Sleep is better than The Shining. I've said it. Thank you.
I haven't seen Dr. Sleep, but that's interesting.
Great. My favorite
series.
I need to see it. My favorite not Big Fish is Down with Love with Renee Zellweger.
Ooh,
that movie's an underappreciated gem. It's hilarious.
I have not seen that. I'm gonna need to see that. I like Renee Zellweger.
Yeah. So it's kind of a pastiche throwback to 1960s rom-coms. So it's made in the style of like a Rock Hudson, Doris Day style movie. And it's just like, it's not a satire and it's not a parody. They just commit to the style and go for it. And it's so much fun.
I love that. I need to see it.
Yes. Yeah.
I need to shout out I Love You, Philip Morris. Another brilliant film starring Ewan McGregor and Jim Carrey. They play gay lovers. It's a great film.
Jim
Oh,
Carrey.
Ewan McGregor's the other guy in that?
Jim Carrey and Ewan McGregor, gay lovers. I love you, Philip Morris. Great film.
I'm
That
gonna
might
add,
be my
I'm gonna
favorite
add Ewan McGregor to next year's movie marathons.
Yeah, that might be my favorite Ewan. All right.
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor.
Okay.
So here we go. So it looks like for the audience, we have Vincent and Martha playing. That's enough. Here we go. So this.
Bob Hunt is also here because he commented.
Oh yeah,
saying-
Bob, you should play too. You should play too because you're going to help them get points.
Okay.
So tonight's game is inspired by Big Eyes. So you're going to be drawing.
Oh God.
Woo! So
What?
how it will work is, except this time, it's kind of an inverse of how we did before, where someone closed their eyes and I flash it on screen. You're going to be going to the private chat to find out who you're drawing, and then you'll have 1 minute to draw your thing, and then the audience has to guess who you have drawn, as
Wait a
well
minute,
as
wait
the
a
other
minute.
person.
We have to visit the YouTube chat.
No, go into our private chat here in StreamYard,
Okay.
like where Jeanette said I have to leave in 5 minutes, and
Yeah.
where Alex was like, "Can you hear me? Can you hear me?" Hold on.
Yeah.
Well, do you two see it? I just wrote here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're the person drawing, look in the private chat. When you're not the person drawing, don't look because you also
Okay.
get to guess. And the point system will be the same as before. Like if you guess correctly, you get a point. Honor system because you could very easily cheat and I wouldn't know. And you also, if you are the drawer, you get points for everyone in the chat who guesses correctly.
Okay.
So you are going to be drawing Tim Burton characters from
Whoa.
all of the movies we've watched
Oh
over
my
the past few
God!
weeks.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah. So you'll have 1 minute to draw your character. Let me set the timer. And then when your minute has gone, everyone gets to guess. So who wants to draw first?
Not me.
All
Okay,
right.
Alex, you get to draw first. So Lisa, please close your eyes.
Okay.
Alex,
Wait.
look to the private chat. Well, just so I know
Well,
you're
this
not
is
looking
kind of
at the private
redundant. She could just not.
I'm
look
not-
at the chat.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not
okay.
going to the chat.
Okay. So Lisa, don't look. Well, it's all theater. It's really for the theater of it.
But-
No, I actually have to send an email. So as you're doing this, I'm going to send an email.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so Alex, here we go. This is Oh, do you have a drawing device, Alex? I forgot
I'll
that.
just draw on my phone.
Okay, good. Here we go.
Yeah.
So, can you see the chat?
I can. There's nothing new.
There. Do you see it?
All right. So do I have to draw the character or anything?
You have to draw that character that I just sent you
Okay.
the name of, and your time starts now. There we go.
Oh no.
Yep. So you have 1 minute to draw that character.
That's not enough time.
That's the hilarity of it. Imagine if I gave you an hour,
Yeah.
like what Margaret
the
Keane got,
masterpiece I could draw.
and then you could just be like, "Oh no, my shoulder."
Yeah.
That was that.
so
that
brilliant.
oh, that's the moment when he almost lost me. Like his performance, that's why I was almost like too
Oh,
far,
this is
Christoph.
this is not good.
Too far. Oh no! Oh, I can't. I won't be able to draw today.
Where's green? There.
As Alex draws, what's your favorite Amy Adams movie, Matt?
Oh, Drop Dead Gorgeous.
No, this is not good.
It's a mockumentary. It's her first ever film, and it's so dark and so hilarious. And it's in fact so inappropriate that for a while, and time's up, maybe even still, it's not available to stream, buy, or rent.
No, really?
I have
Oh,
it
I
on DVD somewhere. It's terrible, but it's so good. Okay, Alex, show us your drawing. Go.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. I can't see you. Okay.
Okay, so those in the chat, Vincent, Martha, Bob, and anyone else, please
Can you
write
see the
down which
color?
kind of. Please write down which
Color is very
Tim
important.
Burton character you think Alex has drawn.
Wait, does that make it better?
How do I just
Oh, just write it down if you
okay,
can.
I'll write it down.
And we'll wait for some answers to come into the
Okay,
chat.
I think that might.
Yeah,
be
that kind of
some
does
important
it.
Colors.
Yeah.
Do that again.
Here, this is also.
Okay.
Although it also doesn't show. It also changes every. That might be the most accurate.
Okay,
Gosh darn it!
let's see Lisa's guess.
Okay.
3,
Oh no.
2, 1. Edward Scissorhands. Okay.
Hey, it's not
Valid
a
guess.
Yeah.
No, don't confirm or deny.
Yeah.
Vincent has also guessed Edward Scissorhands. We're still waiting for Martha.
Come on, Martha, you
Bob.
make it a trifecta. Let's have our.
Martha's also guessed Edward Scissorhands. It was
No, that wasn't
Beetlejuice. It was Beetlejuice.
Oh no!
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, it wasn't a great.
hair.
Yeah, green hair.
Green hair.
Did you see? Were you able to see the green hair?
Yeah.
I kind of
Mumbles.
yeah, but then I
Bob
was
guessed Ava Green.
Eva Green. Green. Yeah.
iconic. Okay.
Okay. Lisa, it's your turn. Alex,
Okay.
close your eyes.
Wait, let me full screen this.
No.
Okay, now my eyes are closed.
I just
Okay.
wanted to see you do this thing.
Oh yeah, it's not bad. It's
Okay, there. Thank you. You did it. Here we go.
Oh my god. I don't know if I can do
And-
this.
Yes, you can. Your time starts now.
Okay. Oh my
So,
god.
Alex.
wait a minute.
What?
Oh no,
Did you look in the chat?
I didn't look in the chat, but a message box like popped up. But I didn't.
Did you
fully
read it?
I saw it peripherally. I just.
Oh my god.
I wouldn't know. I just like I won't. Maybe I'll just won't guess what the audience do it this time.
No,
or
I can't even
another one.
get a point.
I don't know that. I don't know that. I don't know if I saw it clearly. I didn't.
Exit out of the private chat.
I'm out of the private chat. I'm just full screen the thing. It just shot like a little thing, like a thing.
Don't full screen the thing then.
No, I didn't know. I'm full screening you guys. I'd have to.
No, don't full screen us. That's the problem.
But if I, oh, that's true. Then it wouldn't pop up. I just wouldn't have to. I just have to
Exactly.
select the thing. Okay. Yeah. See,
Okay.
I thought that full screen was better.
You have 5 seconds to draw, Lisa.
No,
I
no.
stopped. There was falsities here.
Okay. Oh, wait, hold on. We'll rewind. Okay, you've like 30 more seconds.
If I get it right,
Okay.
you don't get a point, or you do, or maybe you just get the
No,
point.
she still
anyway.
gets a point.
Yeah, exactly. I just
Yeah.
won't get the point.
Well, oh, actually, I
If,
guess
if I'm right, if I'm
Sure.
wrong, then give me the point.
Sure.
Because that
Yeah, that
because then I
I-
deserve the point because it was all for naught.
I trust you to have the most sensible grasp of what these rules are that we're making up as we go, Alex. Good.
Oh my
Good.
god. I don't have enough time.
7, 6,
No.
5,
Uh,
4, 3, 2, and 1. And that's your time.
this is
Let's
bad.
see the drawing.
Okay, ready?
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't have. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. That's so hard with the background, right? Because you have the dark background.
No,
so
but
that
you
makes
can
it
see the
black
hair.
hair.
we
Yeah,
can do the hair.
there's a glare. There's like perfectly where the hair.
You
is.
can get a
God.
sense of what shape the hair is, Alex.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. They're literally anyway. Yeah. It's like a bowl cut or something. That's what it looked like to me. There was a bowl. Anyway, there's a girl hair with a red dress.
I can see
Yeah.
the shape of the hair. I think it's a very good.
I can't see the shape of the hair.
Oh,
I'll full screen it. See if I can see.
No,
it.
stop full screening it. Okay. Friends in the chat, which classic Tim Burton
Yeah,
character do we
I
think
can't.
Lisa just drew?
But you can just tell me. Is it long
The-
hair?
The guesses are coming in. We have James from
No,
James
it's
and the Giant Peach.
Sure.
We have Alan Rickman and Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, that's what I read.
And
the
Alex, what was
answer.
your guess?
Well, I read. That's what my peripherals caught what you typed in the chat correctly.
Oh, did you go to the chat?
No, what do you mean? I don't. There's no on my screen. I don't go to anything. I either have you guys full screened, or if I minimize you, like I don't full screen you, then the chat's there. I don't go to the chat. I did just look down to confirm that what I peripherally saw.
No, I mean, did you just confirm in the private chat that?
Yeah. I
what
just
you-
looked. I just looked.
Okay. So then give Lisa her point, Alex. Who do you think it
Yeah.
is?
Lydia from Beetlejuice.
You
which I
got a
would
point, Lisa.
not have guessed for it, not for the peripheral, but not because of your drawing, Lisa. Because I don't.
Uh-huh.
I don't know the character's name,
Okay.
and I also wouldn't recognize any distinguishing features about her. If I knew it was a girl in Beetlejuice and then you drew that, then maybe I would have been like, "Oh, the daughter," like if that's the daughter, presumably. But
Yeah.
the what's her face, Winona Ryder character. But
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Alex, it's your turn. So Lisa, please don't full screen us. And
Okay, and I'm getting out of the private chat. Done.
yes. Okay, here we go. Alex, there's your character.
can't draw that.
Yes, you can.
I can draw something that makes her think.
Here we go. Ready? And 3, 2, 1. Your time starts.
There
There we
Yeah,
go.
the colors here will probably be less than. Oh,
Exactly. See,
Can
I
I
almost
draw
didn't put
words?
this.
Can I spell?
No. There's one specific color you could use that would just give it away.
Maybe.
Yes.
More specific.
I don't know that I know what you're referring
This
to.
movie is obsessed with this color.
What? Is it a movie that we've seen?
Yeah.
This is just confusing. All right. I'm going to do this because
20 seconds.
Think of this. Oh, I should have done a better drawing.
10
Yeah.
seconds.
It's so
7, 6,
It's a
5,
color.
4, 3, 2, 1, and time. Please
Nope.
show us your drawing.
All
You
right.
said no.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Okay.
Drawing, please.
Okay. I'll tell you the colors.
No.
That's the dots are red.
Okay.
Everything else is white.
It's white,
Oops.
yeah.
And that new dot is white too. But ignore the new dot.
Wait, hold on. Is this
Wait.
a character from the movie or the
It's
movie?
a character. From a
The
movie.
guess, the word is the character. What I drew is
No hints.
yeah. It's just
You can't
to
explain
inspire
your
you to
art,
give the
Alex.
answer.
Once the artist has created art, it's out of their hands. Hence, death of the artist. It's a theory that I learned about once, and I don't understand, but I quote a lot.
That sounds like you're manipulating Alex like Christoph Waltz manipulated Amy Adams.
It's an accurate depiction of our friendship.
Oh,
All right. The guesses are coming in the chat. Let's see Lisa's guess first, though. Dracula.
I don't remember
This
the
should-
actor's
this-
name.
this should
Ed
be- she should-
Wood.
she should wait for the chat guesses.
We have 1 vote for Dracula, 1 vote for Ed Wood. Martha and or Bob, do you have votes as well?
Red Queen.
Did you have a
Mom
Tim
says
Burton?
Red Queen.
Did you have a Tim Burton movie idea in your mind, Lisa?
Yeah, Ed Wood. I don't know the guy's name who played Dracula.
Okay.
Martin Landau as Bela Lugosi.
Yeah,
So if you
Oh.
want Bela Lugosi to be your answer, I'll accept that as your guess.
Bela Lugosi.
Okay, Vincent was right. It was Ed Wood.
What?
Yeah.
When was he the vampire?
He wasn't, but how do you draw Ed Wood? What would
You
you
draw a
to-
guy wearing a
You
pink
draw a
Angora
guy in a
sweater.
director chair.
Well, I drew
Wearing
the
a pink
camera,
sweater.
and
You could have drawn the pink sweater. The whole
Wait,
movie is him
here.
saying, I want to wear pink sweaters.
yeah, I draw a man in drag. Like
The fangs.
here, I'll
threw
draw.
me
I'll draw a man sitting in a director's chair.
off.
Okay, well, Alex,
now.
while you do that, I'll give Lisa her character. So, Alex, please exit full screen.
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay. Lisa, here's
Okay.
your character. I couldn't remember the character's name, but
Okay.
this will do it.
Ooh.
Oh my god, nobody's gonna get this, Matt.
So don't draw the character. Draw things from the movie, and hope I get it that way.
Oh my god, Matt. Oh my god. Okay.
So, Alex, can I see your drawing just while Lisa draws?
Oh, I
Oh,
I
you
thought-
deleted it?
I'll
I
do it
believe
again.
it
I
was.
can do it
No,
again.
please don't. It's okay. I
Yeah,
believe
I'll
it was
do it
fine.
again.
Okay,
There.
do it again. Don't you remember they were like pink Angora sweaters? They're so soft.
Yeah, sure. Now that's familiar. So then I would have just thrown the color pink in there as some.
You could have drawn I would have drawn a
Here-
stick man, and then
Here's my director's chair. Is that,
how's that a
would you-
director's chair?
exactly my point? I don't know how to like competently draw the person sitting in a director's chair. This is
Like
like
this.
that's not an achievable image.
Hold on. Where's...
Like, yes, I could perfectly recreate Johnny Depp in the Ed Wood aesthetic, but no, I can't do that.
Aesthetic. Wait, hold on. Oh, actually, you're right. This is harder than I thought it would be. Oh, wait, no, hold on.
all right, yeah. You do it. You have time.
See, look, it's a guy in a director's chair with a little megaphone being like, action.
No, that's clearly a person who's lost the bottom half of their body and are
He's sitting in a
crossing
director
their
chair.
cyborg legs.
Okay, let's see. Answer in 3, 2, or your picture. Yeah, go.
Okay, so there's a lot going on here.
There.
I know.
All right, let me see if I can see here. So I'm going to go from the top to bottom. At the top, I see a green. Oh, this is Mars Attacks. That's the girl on the dog head. What's her face's character? I love you. What does Pierce Brosnan say? Oh,
You can just name the actress.
I forget her too. Sarah Jessica Parker is the actress. Sarah Jessica Parker's head.
Let's look into the chat. Sarah Jessica Parker as a dog is correct.
What's her name?
Sleepy Hollow. Oh, that's amazing. I would have just done this. I wouldn't have drawn anything. I would have just done this.
Bob, you're giving away future answers. Okay. Alex, it's your turn. Please open the chat. Here we are.
These are hard.
So it's going to be Beetlejuice again with different color hair.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Martha got it somehow. You didn't even see this movie. You didn't even see this movie. Okay. Well, extra point for Lisa. There we go. All right. Ack.
How do I change the background of this? Ooh, there.
You did.
Woo! A whole new world. Okay.
A new fantastic point of view.
No one to
tell us no
or where
to go, or say we're only dreaming. A whole new world. 20 seconds, Alex. Just now, blah, 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 blah. Normally I'd know the lyrics, but we disjointed it more than the narrative in Big Fish. So I don't.
Phenomenal.
Here you go. Yes. Phenomena. Do 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 do.
No.
Do 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 do.
No.
Do do. Time's up, Alex. Show us your picture.
Okay.
Okay, go.
The red spots are red.
I see what you did.
Oh my God, what was his name?
Uh-oh.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay, let's see your answer. Sweeney Todd or Mr. T. Bob Hunt also says Sweeney Todd. Vincent says Edward Scissorhands. The answer is Sweeney Todd.
Whoa.
Well done, Alex.
That was a masterpiece, Alex.
I expect you to do the skunk hair for some reason.
Huh?
I thought you would do the skunk hair.
No, that's for you.
I know.
That's reserved.
I thought you would do it for me.
A little Easter egg for you within
Yes.
the.
Exactly.
No, I don't have time.
I'm aware. All right, Lisa, it's your turn.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm going to go into the chat. Oh, this is hard.
And your time starts.
No!
Hold on. Now.
This is
Oh, and Martha got it too. Sweeney Todd. Woo.
Woo!
Oh, you're both tied at 5 points.
Uh-oh.
Who's gonna
Mrs.
win?
Lovett, what a charming notion. Appropriate as always. Mrs. Lovett, how I've lived without you all these years, I'll never know. Think about it. How delectable.
Let's start living it. Really
living it. And living it.
Ta-da.
Oh, you're doing the reprise. Nice.
Oh my God. I'm running out of time.
You still have 17 seconds.
Yeah, oh, nice. 17. That's an eternity. In our time.
17 is sweeter than 16. It's a lyric from Repo, the Genetic Opera.
Interesting. I've heard excerpts from.
It's fun.
Genetic Opera. What is that?
Oh my gosh, we need to watch it. Yeah. Oh, that's your time. Repo the Genetic Opera is like very campy cult style musical that was made to appeal to like the Rocky Horror fan base, and the whole idea is that it's apocalyptic future time, and people, well, actually it's the exact plot of Repo Men. So people pay for synthetic organs, and then if they don't make their payments, then the Repo Man goes and steals them back. So like he's basically a slasher, and it's a musical, and Paris Hilton is in it.
Oh my God, wait. Is this based off the movie that Jude Law did?
I don't think so.
Repo
Is that
Man?
Repo Men? No, because both
Yeah.
those movies came out at the exact same time, so no one really knew which movie copied which.
Oh.
But no, it has an all-star cast. Like Sarah Brightman's only film role is in this movie. Giles or whoever, the old guy from Buffy, is in it. The Spy Kid, the girl, she's in it. Yeah, Paris Hilton.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, let's see your drawing, Lisa. Ooh, nice.
Okay, I see squiggly brown hair. I see a face. I see a red, baggy clothing. I see. So what's that in the middle there? Bring that.
Delicious.
It's food, I guess. Delicious food. So she looks like a red witch, like the Scarlet Witch. What is this? Now this could be from Sleepy Hollow, which I haven't rewatched. So if it is, I am not apt to guess that character. What else could it be? What else did we watch? Willy Wonka. What else did we watch? Something to do with food that's yellow and delicious. Cheese, maybe. Nice, yummy. Oh, eating people. That's Sweeney Todd. Is that a meat pie? Is that Mrs. Lovett with her meat pies? But why the red? Mrs. Lovett never. Does she ever wear?
Alex, make a guess. Make a choice.
I guess I will do Mrs. Lovett.
Okay. Bob has guessed Veruca Salt. Vincent has guessed Mrs. Lovett. Martha has guessed Sally. The correct answer, I think she means from Nightmare Before Christmas. It's not Martha. That's not a Tim Burton movie, even though Disney wants everyone to think it is.
Well, he was involved, right?
His name is on it, but he did like nothing. But yeah, it's Mrs. Lovett. So yay, 2 points, Lisa. 1 point, Alex.
I didn't mean to make the dress that baggy. I was trying to showcase off her boobs.
Did you give like under boob texture?
I don't know what I did. I was rushed, okay? I was rushed.
Okay. Alex, here you go. Your person is coming in the chat. In 3, 2, 1.
Okay. I will start immediately.
No, wait. Your time starts now. Yeah,
immediately.
Sure. There, yeah, now. There, immediately. Yeah, Helena Bonham Carter was pregnant during Sweeney Todd filming, so apparently she talks about how her boobs kept changing size in that movie.
Yes. Oh my God. There were so many shots of her where I was like, wow. Yes. Thank you. And then there was like, I guess she's not wearing the push-up bra she wore in the last scene.
Yeah, no, it was slightly more developed baby versus less developed baby, affecting everything.
It look, let's put it on the record that I do not think Helena is any less attractive without boobs. I think she is attractive without them and with them, and I would do anything for Helena. So, yeah.
As would we all. Well, I was going to say she's a queen, but she's never played. No, she has played the queen. Never mind.
She has?
Well, like the queen consort. She was
Princess Margaret
in The Crown. Oh, Alex, your time is up. No, in the King's
but I'm
Speech.
Not finished.
Yes.
Oh, well, that's still a queen.
That's still a queen. She's not like the queen because her husband was the king, but she was like the Camilla of that marriage.
Yeah.
Well, that means something else now, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there we go.
I know exactly who it is. Can I just say it out loud, or should I?
Yeah, just say it. Just say it.
Willy Wonka.
Yeah. Point for. Let's see if the chat gets it. We'll wait.
Well, they'll just guess.
I just gave it to you.
Yeah. They don't. We're in trouble.
I feel like they're all honest. If they didn't know it, they'll tell us. No one's chiming in. I don't think they got it. Okay. Well then,
No, I think they all got it. Come on, chat.
Bob Hunt said Danny DeVito and Dumbo. Vincent got it.
Nice.
Job, Vince.
Wait for Martha. Martha said Joker. Actually,
I mean,
that's quite apt. He's
Yeah.
wearing a purple suit.
Wait, did Tim Burton ever do?
Yeah, he directed the first ever Batman movie with
he did
Keaton.
That was
Oh,
And with Jack
and-
Nicholson.
and Danny
as-
DeVito.
That's the second one. But yeah, that's Batman.
He did two
Returns.
Batman films?
He did two Batman films. He did original Batman with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. Then the second one that had Pfeiffer and DeVito as the two villains.
Aren't they all in the same movie?
No, those are two different movies. First movie is just Joker. Second movie is I haven't even seen them. but
Oh wow.
I'm prepping for next year's Batman marathon because that's in the run. That's
Okay.
number one requested in the poll I put out there. Along with people apparently thought body swap movies would be interesting. Like I did, but I didn't think anyone else would. But
like Freaky Friday or whatever.
like Freaky Friday-esque movies. So I thought
Oh.
that'd be cool.
those
Yeah,
are popular. Back
they
in the
are,
day.
but like it was up against alien movies and ghost movies and time travel movies. But the people for their science fiction marathon apparently want body swap movies, which I'm not
Well,
complaining.
that's not really
about,
science.
but-
Like Freaky Friday. Is
Well, it's
science
like
fiction,
fantasy, I guess. But yeah.
but- Yeah.
Okay. Next. Boom,
That was
boom. Okay. Here we go. So yeah, it's Lisa.
Okay. I'm in the chat. I'm in the chat. No, I don't even remember what the color of the costume was.
Good luck.
Color of the
Oh
Here
my
we
Wind.
go. Start. So, Alex, what movie marathon do you want us to do next year? What collection of movies do you find fascinating?
I mean, there are lots of movies I really enjoy and I think have like meat and depth and great performances. Like Martin Scorsese, I think he, as a filmmaker, director, I think his stuff is good and fascinating. I think the Coen brothers, harking back to my like favorite filmmakers, like
Right.
the Coen brothers films. Yeah, I think those are all like great and fascinating.
That would be fascinating if I could stand to watch more than one Coen Brothers movie a year. That's just a personal thing. But yes,
Yeah,
I agree.
I feel like we haven't. I think because you haven't watched them. Have you ever watched "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou"?
Yeah, I liked that one. I did.
Yeah,
like that
see,
one.
yeah. When you find the right one for you, it's good.
And I did like, well, Macbeth was just one of them, but I liked that. Oh, time's up.
Oh my god, that was so fast.
No, it's the same minute.
Oh my god.
Like Fargo, I never got why everyone
Fargo's great.
liked it. I don't. Maybe I need to rewatch it, like
Me?
with Forrest Gump.
Minnesota, eh? All right.
Go
Let's see the big
Bears.
three.
Yeah, there it is.
All right, I see a yellow like turban or bandana. I see big red lips. I see busty boobies. I don't know what it says or supposed to be in the middle. It kind of Lisa Marie as like a Martian in Mars Attacks.
Yes, that's it. No one in the chat's going to get it. So yes.
That's amazing.
Seeing the moment that Alex realized it, that was.
Well, I mean,
pure
ack.
gold.
What more is there? What all you didn't need to draw anything. You should just give me ack. I mean, I guess Lisa Marie.
I need to
that was
give
a good.
yeah.
That was
Yeah.
a good. That was a good drawing.
That was a good drawing.
Thank you. I know,
voluptuous woman.
just call me Leonardo DiCaprio from Titanic. I know how to draw breasts.
yeah. Your Helena one. I was like, really? But yeah, no. The breast is what you were looking for there.
As a paying customer, I want to get what I've asked
Yeah.
for. Need to do Titanic just because.
Just
Oh my
be-
gosh, one of my new favorite TikTok accounts is a guy who's trying to get the biggest collection of Titanic on VHS. He's up to over 700 copies.
Whoa.
And literally every video is just him saying, "Hey guys, guess what I got today? It's another copy of James Cameron's Titanic on VHS," in that exact voice. And that's every video. And I don't know why I don't hate it, because I should, but I love it. And I just want more.
What does he do with all 700?
He has a room. He has a whole room where they're all on display.
That's a lot of real estate
Yeah.
space.
And actually, it's not just VHS. He also has different DVD collections. I think he has like a cardboard cutout of Jack Dawson. Yeah. Anyway, we're down to our final two. Whose turn is it? It's Alex's turn.
To draw, yeah.
Yeah.
I am
This is
the
this is
private
probably the most difficult one. So good luck.
Well, you know how I like. Well, let's see. Oh, okay.
But I think there's something you can do to make it. Anyway, your time started. Lisa, what movie marathon do you think we should do next year?
This is a very good question. I think you've already said that you don't like this, but I would be interested in this because I've never seen any of the movies, and I feel like I am deficient in this pop culture knowledge. So I would like to have an Indiana Jones marathon.
Oh, I love Indy.
Okay, I don't know who said that.
That can be the summer marathon because I was like, what can I do that's kind of like Pirates? That's popcorn and blockbustery.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Indy.
I've never seen any of them, and I feel like I should.
I think they're all a absolute delight. Well, I've only seen number 4 once, and I didn't hate it as much as society told me to.
Oh, is that Shia LaBeouf?
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh my god.
Yes, I
Indy.
I think Harrison Ford might have some toxic traits in his life, but that doesn't stop me from thinking he's attractive.
That's perfect way to describe Harrison Ford. Alex, your time's up.
All right.
As well as the characters he plays. So there you go.
Yeah.
Let's go, Alex.
What are you depicting?
Oh, I see what you did.
Well, Matt sees what I did.
I see
but he
what you
also
did.
has. He also
Oh,
has.
I get it.
Good.
No,
It's not a far stretch. I think I offered pretty good clues.
considering all the boob talk we've had, the things look like other things.
I mean, but in context, though, you don't get things in these kinds of things.
What?
Okay, Lisa, what's your guess?
Boom, big eyes.
That's
Character.
a good guess.
That's the movie.
Guess a character from the movie, though.
Amy Adams.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Margaret.
Yeah.
Margaret.
Queen.
Nice.
I don't know,
Vincent guessed the doorknob from Alice. Martha was on the same wavelength as you. There we go.
okay, but I would argue that Big Eyes is technically a character in Big Eyes because they keep referring to Big Eyes as like an entity. And so I stand by just writing Big Eyes.
But then you don't get the point, Lisa.
Yeah, fine. Amy Adams.
and more importantly,
Yeah.
I don't get the point.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. There we go. No, I do, but I think less so than Big Eyes, they refer to them as the waifs. If we're talking about those, like specific, like the I'm so sad.
I mean, that's their official
The
title.
little kids that are like, help me, I'm poor. Yes. Yes. The kids that UNICEF says, we don't want that in our fundraiser.
Well, UNICEF doesn't say that. The one
The critic does. Then they take it down, though. It made me so sad.
well, UNICEF can't,
Okay. Last one. Whose turn is it to draw? Lisa's. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not in the chat yet. Hold on. Okay, I'm in here now.
Here we go. Boom.
Oh my god. Give me
Timer
a
starts
reference.
now.
Hey,
There's
we've
one
it's
very
worked.
defining
I've
characteristic.
guessed
with
the
this.
last 2 or 3, so
I know it's grueling work, okay?
I am grateful.
Just don't throw out your shoulder.
Ow.
Oh no.
My
It's
whole
old
injury.
injury. It's,
Oh, that's that. That's something that I wrote down. I was like, I was like, yeah, like realistically, if you found yourself in that situation, like it's interesting to kind of as a thought experiment or just whatever, like what would you do? Like what idea would you come up with? Like what makes sense if you find yourself like in the situation where you're in the courtroom and under the challenge of reproducing a Big Eyes painting to prove that you are the author of them or whatever. It's like, how do you realistically get out?
It? I would have just tried.
But like,
Not. I would have
so crazy. Yeah, that seems so crazy. Like, why? Like, how could you possibly? What would you be hoping that would happen. That Amy
I
Adams
feel like you've been around it long enough for 10 years. Your time's up, Lisa. I feel like you've been around it long enough that it's like there was a study apparently that people who watched hours of footage of people playing the piano were able to haphazardly
The Witch.
replicate it the first time. Oh,
Helena
yeah.
Bonham
there it is.
Carter as the witch in Big Fish. That's exactly what it is. It's Helena Bonham
Yes.
Carter.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
With
That's
her
who- that's who
future
it is.
death eye.
That's who it is. That's it.
And I'm also annoyed actually in that scene. One of the reasons why I threw very subtle, almost imperceptible shade on Helena Bonham Carter as the witch was because when after she lifts her eye patch to show young Ewan McGregor, she puts it back, but it's not perfect. It's like she puts it back like they should have edited it or retook it so like it wasn't centered on her eye. It was like a little bit up. It was patch. Yeah, the patch was a little bit up. It was like if I put an eye patch on in the mirror and I made it look like good. Like whatever.
She doesn't have a mirror and she only has one eye that sees the
I know, but it's a movie and she's a witch.
Why are you complaining about this disabled witch?
I'm just because it bugged me. She's not just, so I guess
Like
it's not even an appropriate term anymore.
She's partially sighted. Although she also it's not like she can see through both eyes, but one of them just sees into the future.
Yeah, one of them, if you look into it, you see.
Oh, that's true. Maybe
your
she
death.
can't see. Wait, it's
No,
just
maybe she doesn't matter. Maybe she sees perfectly fine. It's just all we know for sure is that.
no, but it's a glass eye. It's a glass eye that sees.
Is that specifically mentioned?
Yeah, it's a glass eye.
And do we know that a witch can't see through a glass eye?
Well, who knows? Well,
this is the lore that wasn't explained in Big Fish because the writers suck.
No, wait, that's
my God. Coming for John Logan like that.
John Logan, step up your game.
All right, so these are our points. Lisa, you have 11. Alex,
Okay.
you have 15.
Oh my, what?
That's wrong.
I don't make the rules.
Yeah, that's wrong. I agree that's wrong. I feel like Lisa's been doing way better in the
well,
drawing.
Martha got
and
the witch. He got the witch. I don't know.
Okay, the audience is what carried.
The audience helped it. Yeah, there we are. So how many points would we like to wager for the last question?
Do I? Yeah, let's do it all. I'll do it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do it all too.
Okay. So before he rose to prominence as a director, Tim Burton worked for the Walt Disney Animation Company. I just want you to tell me one animated Disney film that he worked on as an animator when he was there in the 80s.
Became like the CEO or whatever.
Before he started directing films, when he was just there helping animate movies. And
wait a minute, where was he? Where was he?
He was an animator for Walt Disney Animation Studios.
Disney was an animator for Walt Disney?
Tim Burton was a Disney animator before he branched
off.
Oh,
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton.
Like before Walt. Okay, so
Tim
Burton was an animator.
Tim Burton was an animator at Walt Disney. He worked on 2 animated films that came out in the 80s, as well as 1 live action film that had a heavy animation component that also came out in the 80s.
So specifically these are films that came out before what?
They came out before the 90s happened.
Okay, because it just part of your initial statement, it was like like something before Tim Burton.
Oh, like before he started directing. Before he started directing.
So
films.
these have been things that happened before a Tim Burton movie ever came out.
Yeah. So tell me a Disney film from the Disney studio that he worked on as an animator. So there are 2 animated films and 1 live action film that you have to pick from that came out in the 80s.
Oh, right. Can I look up Disney films that came out in the 80s?
No.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I hope this is a Disney movie, but yeah, I'll guess.
I kind of designed this question when I thought Jeanette would be playing.
Yeah, but it's literally, in my mind, it's literally just a crapshoot of like pick random Disney old, like classic old Disney movie. But again, I guess I could pick something that's a lot like that's too old. I don't know. I don't have context for it. When was Lion King released?
93 or 94.
Okay.
I have heard this lore and I think I got it.
Let's start with Alex's answer.
Oh, wait a minute. I should have thought about the live action with animation in it. That might have made it hone in on it. But my answer is Snow White.
Okay.
What?
Okay, what's wrong with Snow
Alex,
White?
that was like in 1939.
Was
1937, but yeah.
That's a Disney
Whatever.
film that was animated in the 30s?
That's literally the first ever feature animated film in history.
Oh, I didn't know
why
that.
I got all judgmental.
I
Sorry.
didn't know that. Oh no, that
Well,
that's
Alex
good.
lost
Now that I
all
know
his
that
points.
context.
There we are. Lisa, what's your answer? Lisa, you got it.
Wasn't that his like first one?
He worked, Fox and the Hound was pretty well the only thing he animated that he did work that was in the movie, but he was so bad at drawing animals that they only got him to draw like the animals in the distance. Then he did concept art for Black Cauldron because they figured this guy's weird, so maybe the weird kooky style will work with Black Cauldron. Then the live action film he worked on was Tron.
Oh, I wouldn't have guessed.
I would have guessed that.
Vincent also knew this is a very deep cut. He also worked on the 1970s animated Lord of the Rings.
Oh my god. Oh,
Martha got it. Good job, Martha.
I like the Fox and the Hound a lot. But
Oh,
Yeah,
I despise
watch
that movie. Makes me too sad.
that's why I like it. It makes me feel things.
Oh yeah, I know, and I hate how it makes me feel. It's too good of a movie.
Yeah, no.
I love when Matt says he despises a movie.
Yeah.
That like
When I go watch the movie and I'm like, I don't understand.
Well, yeah, when I say I despise a movie, there's different classifications. It could mean I actually hate it as a movie and it makes me angry, or it could mean it's a movie that hits me in the feels too hard, like Fox and the Hound, and I hate that it makes me feel like a human, so I despise it because of that. Or despise, it's a blanket term really for complicated feelings.
I feel you.
Yeah, but I prefer a movie to make me feel things than to just be boring. So there it is. Anyway, yay! There we go, everyone. Burton month over. Burton 2 months over. So
or is it?
Movies.
Nightmare Before Christmas next week.
That's not Tim Burton.
Well,
it's Henry Selick. Come now, Alan.
I'm Selick's brother.
The poor man's Tim Burton.
Have I taught you nothing?
No, you taught me.
Thank you. Okay, good. Anyway, here we are. Wow, closing in on hour 3. Closing thoughts on either of these movies or Tim Burton. What are we feeling? Lisa.
Thank you so much for introducing me to Big Eyes. Really enjoyed the watch. Didn't like Big Fish, but it's okay. It's gonna be fine. I think we'll survive that.
We will.
I'll revisit it. And I have enjoyed this whole Burton marathon. It's been a blast.
Yes, agreed. I'm so glad we added tonight.
Yeah.
Secretly, I was sad that there was going to be no Big Fish and no Big Eyes. So 2 for 1, best deal.
Yeah.
Alex, closing thoughts on the movies and or Burton?
All right. I'm just going to read some of the notes I took down.
Okay.
So for Big Fish, I noted that there's a scene when before young Ewan McGregor looks into the witch's eye and sees his death, which is also a cool like little point in the movie, I think. But anyway, where they're like the kids are all together and like one guy says some curse word or whatever, and then the other guy's like, "You shouldn't swear. There's ladies present." And then it's like, "Shit, damn, screw." I thought that was a funny thing. Spectre is so great. The poet Steve Buscemi's like joke how he's this great poet, writing poetry, and then like you look at the Notebook and it's just like roses are red, violets are blue. Spectre is so great. Yeah, and it's like, well, all right. Let's see any Big Eye things that I didn't mention that I want to. Oh yeah. There's the studio key, the painting studio key, where so we first see, so it's when the daughter first breaks into the mother's studio, right, to find out the truth. She like goes over the door frame and then finds the key under the vase. Yeah. And so that it's like, oh, why is there a hidden key? Who uses this key? What's the purpose? Like, and then we see what's his face? Christoph Waltz And it's like he's also searching for the key for the thing, but he doesn't know where it is either. So it's like, who put the key there? What was the point of the key? It doesn't make sense. So yeah, I don't know. That's just something where it's like I first I was like, maybe it's like Christoph Waltz key to like to be able to access the door if Amy Adams locks herself in or something, so he can always get in. But otherwise, I don't know, man. So yeah, but no, yeah, cool, fun movies, both of them. Yeah, Big Eyes, less memorable. Big Fish, I look forward to to rewatching and getting
Well said. Oh, one whole thing I wanted to discuss that we didn't, that we don't have time to now, is just imagine what Big Eyes, no, not Big Eyes, the other one, what Big Fish would have been like if he had used Johnny Depp as Ewan McGregor.
Oh no.
And the only reason I believe that
it-
didn't happen is because he was making Pirates at the time.
Good.
Yeah.
If I could just picture Johnny Depp in his go-to Burton character, that's like a hybrid of Wonka and Ed Wood.
Ed Wood, yeah,
and
yeah.
Ichabod Crane, where he would just have a really big forehead and be speaking in his high-pitched voice with a southern accent. And
Yeah.
I'm so glad that it wasn't him for this.
I'm gonna marry you. Yeah.
Yeah. So there we are. Wonderful. Well, thank you, everyone. One time, tell us all the fun things about you, what you're up to, the things you want us to know. We'll start with Lisa.
Hey everyone, I'm Lisa Alves. You can find me on Instagram at Lisa_A_Alves. I've also rebranded my Etsy shop where I sell handmade goods, and I do some art commissions. So you can find me if you just go to my Instagram, you'll find me there, and all that fun stuff. And if you're in the Toronto area, please check out some theater, specifically a show called Our Place at Theater Pass Marai. I produced it. It's been a lot of work and it's gonna be amazing. So please come check it out. It opens November 19th and it runs till December 3rd.
Excellent. Yay. Thank you, Lisa. Woo. Alex.
Oh, didn't see you there. Welcome. If you want to see more of me, come check out Teacup for One. It's great.
Thank you, Alex. And if you're watching this channel, it's my channel. Thank you for watching and sticking with us for almost 3 hours now. All 10 of you have been here the whole time. Bless your hearts. But genuinely, not in the southern way where that's like a swear or something. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, everyone. The movie marathons are going to be commencing again next year. So that wraps up our movie marathon show for 2022. Don't worry, there are still going to be some fun live shows happening on the channel, but the next official marathon will be in January. It's going to be Stephen Sondheim. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. Followed by the Oscar movie marathon when we find out what's nominated. I'll let you know what we're watching. And until then, thank you. My name is Matt and I have 2 degrees, and this has been the Tea Cup for One. How do I end this?